The study of the dark sky. Osho speaks our reality as a dream of the divine spirit. The psychology of reality and dreams of the human experience. The 16th of September 1970. We have 7 bodies: the physical, the etheric, the astral, the mental, the spiritual, the cosmic, and the nirvanic. Each body has its own type of dream. The physical body is known in Western psychology as the conscious, the etheric body as the unconscious, and the astral body as the collective unconscious. The physical body creates its own dreams. If your stomach is upset, a particular type of dream is created. If you are unhealthy, feverish, the physical body creates its own type of dream. One thing is certain: the dream is created out of some dis-ease. Physical discomfort, physical dis-ease, creates its own realm of dreams, so a physical dream can even be stimulated from the outside. You are sleeping. If a wet cloth is put around your legs, you will begin to dream. You may dream you are crossing a river. If a pillow is put on your chest, you will begin to dream. You may dream that someone is sitting on you, or a stone has fallen on you. These are dreams that come through the physical body. The etheric body, the second body, dreams in its own way. These etheric dreams have created much confusion in Western psychology. Freud misunderstood etheric dreams for dreams caused by suppressed desires. There are dreams that are caused by suppressed desires, but these dreams belong to the first body, the physical. If you have suppressed physical desires, if you have fasted for instance, then there is every possibility that you will dream of breakfast. Or, if you have suppressed sex, then there is every possibility that you will have sexual fantasies. But these dreams belong to the first body. The etheric body is left out of psychological investigation, so its dreams are interpreted as belonging to the first body, the physical. Then, much confusion is created. The etheric body can travel in dreams. There is every possibility of it leaving your body. When you remember it, it is remembered as a dream, but it is not a dream in the same sense as the dreams of the physical body. The etheric body can go out of you when you are asleep. Your physical body will be there, but your etheric body can go out and travel in space. There is no space limiting it, there is no question of distance for it. Those who do not understand this, who do not recognize the existence of the etheric body, may interpret this as the realm of the unconscious. They divide man's mind into conscious and unconscious. Then physiological dreaming is called conscious, and etheric dreaming is called unconscious. It is not unconscious. It is as conscious as physiological dreaming, but conscious on another level. If you become conscious of your etheric body, the dreaming concerned with that realm becomes conscious. Just as physiological dreams can be created from the outside, so too can etheric dreams be created, stimulated. A mantra is one of the methods to create etheric visions, etheric dreams. A particular mantra or a particular nada, a particular word, sounding repeatedly in the etheric center, can create etheric dreams. There are so many methods. Sound is one of them. Sufis have used perfume to create etheric visions. Muhammad himself was very fond of perfume. A particular perfume can create a particular dream. Colors can also be of help. Leadbeater once had an etheric dream of blueness, just blueness, but of a particular shade. He began to search for that particular blue all over the markets of the world. After several years of search, it was finally found in an Italian shop, a velvet of that particular shade. The velvet was then used to create etheric dreams in others as well. So when someone goes deep in meditation and sees colors, and experiences perfumes and sounds and music absolutely unknown, these too are dreams, dreams of the etheric body. So-called spiritual visions belong to the etheric body, they are etheric dreams. Gurus revealing themselves before their disciples is nothing but etheric travel, etheric dreaming. But because we have only searched the mind at one level of existence, the physiological, these dreams have either been interpreted in the language of the physiological or discarded, neglected, or put into the unconscious. To say that anything is part of the unconscious is really just to admit that we do not know anything about it. It is a technicality, a trick. Nothing is unconscious, but everything that is conscious on a deeper level is unconscious on the previous level. So for the physical, the etheric is unconscious. For the etheric, the astral is unconscious. For the astral, the mental is unconscious. Conscious means that which is known. Unconscious means that which is still not known, the unknown. There are also astral dreams. In astral dreaming you go into your previous births. That is your third dimension of dreaming. Sometimes in an ordinary dream, part of the etheric or part of the astral may be there. Then the dream becomes a muddle, a mess, you cannot understand it. Because your 7 bodies are in existence simultaneously, something from one realm can pass into another, can penetrate it. So sometimes, even in ordinary dreams, there are fragments of the etheric or astral. In the first body, the physical, you can travel in neither time nor space. You are confined to your physical state and to the particular time it is, say, 10 o'clock at night. Your physical body can dream in this particular time and space, but not beyond it. In the etheric body you can travel in space but not in time. You can go anywhere, but the time is still 10 o'clock at night. In the astral realm, in the third body, you can travel not only in space but also in time. The astral body can trespass the barrier of time, but only toward the past, not toward the future. The astral mind can go into the whole infinite series of the past, from amoeba to man. In Jungian psychology, the astral mind has been called the collective unconscious. It is your individual history of births. Sometimes it penetrates into ordinary dreams, but more often in pathological states than in healthy ones. In a man who is mentally diseased, the first three bodies lose their usual distinction from one another. A person who is mentally ill may dream about his previous births, but no one will believe him. He himself will not believe it. He will say it is just a dream. This is not dreaming on the physical plane. It is astral dreaming. And astral dreaming has much meaning, much significance. But the third body can dream only about the past, not about what is to be. The fourth body is the mental. It can travel into the past and into the future. In an acute emergency, sometimes even an ordinary person can have a glimpse of the future. If someone near and dear to you is dying, the message may be delivered to you in an ordinary dream. Because you do not know any other dimension of dreaming, because you do not know the other possibilities, the message will penetrate your ordinary dreaming. But the dream will not be clear because of barriers that have to be crossed before the message can become a part of your ordinary dreaming state. Each barrier eliminates something, transforms something. Each body has its own symbology, so every time a dream passes from one body to another it is translated into the symbology of that body. Then, everything becomes confused. If you dream in the fourth body in a clear-cut way, not through another body but through the fourth body itself, then you can penetrate into the future, but only into your own future. It is still individual, you cannot penetrate into another person's future. For the fourth body, the past is as much the present as the future is the present. Past, future and present become one. Everything becomes a now penetrating backward, now penetrating forward. There is no past and no future, but there is still time. Time, even as the present, is still a flowing of time. You will still have to focus your mind. You can see toward the past, but you will have to focus your mind in that direction. Then the future and the present will be held in abeyance. When you focus toward the future, the other two, past and present, will be absent. You will be able to see past, present and future, but not as one. And you will be able to see only your own individual dreams, dreams that belong to you as an individual. The fifth body, the spiritual body, crosses the realm of the individual and the realm of time. Now you are in eternity. The dreaming is not concerned with you as such, but with the consciousness of the whole. Now you know the entire past of the whole existence, but not the future. Through this fifth body, all myths of creation have been developed. They are all the same. The symbols differ, the stories differ a little bit, but whether they are Christian or Hindu or Jewish or Egyptian, the myths of creation, how the world was created, how it came into existence, are all parallel, they all have an undercurrent of similarity. For example, similar stories of the Great Flood exist all over the world. There is no historical record of them, but, still, there is a record. That record belongs to the fifth mind, the spiritual body. The fifth mind can dream about them. The more you penetrate inward, the more the dream comes nearer and nearer to reality. Physiological dreaming is not so real. It has its own reality, but it is not so real. The etheric is much more real, the astral is even more real, the mental approximates the real, and finally, in the fifth body, you become authentically realistic in your dreaming. This is the way to know reality. To call it dreaming is not adequate. But in a way it is dreaming, because the real is not objectively present. It has its own objectivity, but it comes as a subjective experience. Two persons who have realized the fifth body can dream simultaneously, which is not possible before this. Ordinarily there is no way of dreaming a common dream, but from the fifth body onward, a dream can be dreamt by many persons simultaneously. That is why the dreams are objective in a way. We can compare notes. That is how so many persons, dreaming in the fifth body, came to know the same myths. These myths were not created by single individuals. They were created by particular schools, particular traditions working together. So the fifth type of dreaming becomes much more real. The four preceding types are unreal in a sense because they are individual. There is no possibility of another person sharing the experience. There is no way to judge the validity of it, whether it is a fantasy or not. A fantasy is something you have projected. A dream is something that is not in existence as such, but which you have come to know. As you go inward, the dreaming becomes less fantastic, less imaginary, more objective, more real, more authentic. All theological concepts are created by the fifth body. They differ in their language, their terminology, their conceptualization, but they are basically the same. They are dreams of the fifth body. In the sixth body, the cosmic body, you cross the threshold of conscious, unconscious, matter, mind. You lose all distinctions. The sixth body dreams about the cosmos. You cross the threshold of consciousness and the unconscious world also becomes conscious. Now everything is alive and conscious. Even what we call matter is now part of consciousness. In the sixth body, dreams of cosmic myths have been realized. You have transcended the individual, you have transcended the conscious, you have transcended time and space, but language is still possible. It points towards something, it indicates something. Theories of Brahma, Maya, theories of oneness, of the infinite, have all been realized in the sixth type of dreaming. Those who have dreamt in the cosmic dimension have been the creators of the great systems, the great religions. Through the sixth type of mind, dreams are in terms of being, not in terms of non-being, in terms of positive existence, not in terms of non-existence. There is still a clinging to existence and a fear of non-existence. Matter and mind have become one, but not existence and non-existence, not being and non-being. They are still separate. This is the last barrier. The seventh body, the nirvanic, crosses the boundary of the positive and jumps into nothingness. It has its own dreams, dreams of non-existence, dreams of nothingness, dreams of the void. The yes has been left behind, and even the no is not a no now, the nothingness is not nothing. Rather, the nothing is even more infinite. The positive must have boundaries, it cannot be infinite. Only the negative has no boundaries. So the seventh body has its own dreams. Now there are no symbols, no forms. Only the formless is. Now there is no sound but the soundless, there is absolute silence. These dreams of silence are total, unending. These are the seven bodies. Each of them has its own dreams. But these seven dimensions of dreams can become a hindrance in knowing the seven types of realities. Your physiological body has a way to know the real and a way to dream about it. When you take your food, this is a reality, but when you dream that you are taking food, it is not a reality. The dream is a substitute for the real food. So the physiological body has its own reality and its own way of dreaming. These are two different ways in which the physiological functions, and they are very far apart from one another. The more you go toward the center, the higher the body you are in, the nearer dream and reality are to one another. Just like lines drawn from the periphery toward the center of a circle come nearer as they approach the center, and are further apart as they go toward the circumference, so too dream and reality come nearer and nearer as you go toward your center and they become further and further apart as you go toward the periphery. So as far as the physiological body is concerned, dreaming and reality are far apart. The distance between them is great. Dreams are just fantasy. This separation will not be so great in the etheric body. The real and the dream will come nearer, so to know what is real and what is a dream will be more difficult than in the physiological body. But still, the difference can be known. If your etheric travel has been real travel, it will happen while you are awake. If it has been a dream, it will happen when you are asleep. To know the difference, you will have to be awakened in the etheric body. There are methods to be aware in your etheric body. All methods of inner working such as japa, the repetition of a mantra, disconnect you from the outside world. If you fall asleep, the constant repetition can create a hypnotic sleep. Then, you will dream. But if you can remain aware of your japa and it does not create a hypnotic effect in you, then you will know the real as far as the etheric is concerned. In the third body, the astral, it is even more difficult to know the difference because the two have come even closer. If you have known the real astral body and not just astral dreaming, then you will go beyond the fear of death. From here, one knows one's immortality. But if the astral is a dream and not real, then you will be crippled by the fear of death. This is the point of distinction, the touchstone, the fear of death. A person who believes that the soul is immortal and goes on repeating and repeating it, convincing himself, will not be able to know the distinction between what is real in the astral body and what is an astral dream. One should not believe in immortality, one should know it. But before knowing, one must have doubts about it, uncertainty about it. Only then will you know whether you really know it or whether you have just projected it. If it is your belief that the soul is immortal, the belief may penetrate your astral mind. Then you will begin to dream, but it will just be a dream. But if you have no belief, just a thirst to know, to seek, without knowing what is to be sought, without knowing what will be found, without any preconceptions or prejudices, if you are just seeking in a vacuum, then you will know the difference. So people who believe in the immortality of the soul, in past lives, those who accept them on faith, may just be dreaming on the astral plane and not knowing the real. In the fourth body, the mental, dream and reality become neighbors. Their faces are so alike that there is every possibility that one will be judged to be the other. The mental body can have dreams that are as realistic as the real. And there are methods to create such dreams, yogic, tantric and other methods. A person who is practicing fasting, loneliness, darkness, will create the fourth type of dreams, mental dreams. They will be so real, more real than the reality that is surrounding us. In the fourth body, the mind is totally creative, unhindered by anything objective, unhindered by material boundaries. Now it is totally free to create. Poets, painters, all live in the fourth type of dreaming. All art is produced by the fourth type of dreaming. A person who can dream in the fourth realm can become a great artist. But not one who knows. In the fourth body, one must be aware of any type of mental creation. One should not project anything, otherwise it will be projected. One should not wish anything, otherwise there is every possibility that the wish will be the fulfillment. Not only inwardly, even outwardly the wish can be fulfilled. In the fourth body, the mind is so powerful, so crystal clear, because the fourth body is the last home for the mind. Beyond this, no mind begins. The fourth body is the original source of the mind, so you can create anything. One must constantly be aware that there is no wish, no imagination, no image, no God, no guru. Otherwise they will all be created out of you. You will be the creator. It is so blissful to see them that one longs to create them. This is the last barrier for the sadhaka, the seeker. If one crosses this, he will not face a greater barrier. If you are aware, if you are just a witness in the fourth body, then you know the real. Otherwise you go on dreaming. And no reality is comparable to these dreams. They will be ecstatic, no ecstasy is comparable. So one must be aware of ecstasy, of happiness, of blissfulness, and one must constantly be aware of any type of image. The moment there is an image, the fourth mind begins to flow into a dream. One image leads to the next, and you go on dreaming. The fourth type of dreaming can only be prevented if you are a witness. Witnessing makes the difference, because if dreaming is there you will be identified with it. Identification is dreaming as far as the fourth body is concerned. In the fourth body, awareness and the witnessing mind are the path toward the real. In the fifth body the dream and the real become one. Every type of duality is cast off. There is no question of any awareness now. Even if you are unaware, you will be aware of your unawareness. Now dreaming becomes just a reflection of the real. There is a difference, but no distinction. If I see myself in the mirror, there is no distinction between me and the reflection, but there is a difference. I am the real and the reflected one is not real. The fifth mind, if it has cultivated different concepts, may have the illusion of knowing itself because it has seen itself reflected in the mirror. It will be knowing itself, but not as it is, only as it is reflected. This is the only difference. But in a way, it is dangerous. The danger is that you may become satisfied with the reflection, and the mirror-like image will be taken as the real. As far as the fifth body itself is concerned, there is no real danger if this happens, but it is a danger as far as the sixth body is concerned. If you have seen yourself only in the mirror, then you cannot cross the boundary of the fifth and go to the sixth. You cannot pass any boundary through a mirror. So there have been persons who have remained in the fifth. Those who say that there are infinite souls and each soul has its own individuality, these persons have remained in the fifth. They have known themselves, but not immediately, not directly, only through the medium of a mirror. Where does this mirror come from? It comes through the cultivation of concepts. I am the soul. Eternal, immortal, beyond death, beyond birth. To conceive of oneself as the soul without knowing it is to create a mirror. Then you will not know yourself as you are, but as you are mirrored through your concepts. The only difference will be this. If the knowledge is coming through a mirror it is a dream, and if it is direct, immediate, without any mirror, then it is real. This is the only difference, but it is a great one, not in relation to the bodies that you have crossed, but in relation to the bodies that are still to be penetrated. How can one be aware whether he is dreaming in the fifth or living the real? There is only one way, to drop every type of scripture, to take leave of every type of philosophy. Now there should be no more guru, otherwise the guru will become a mirror. From here on, you are totally alone. No one can be taken as a guide or the guide will become a mirror. From now on, the aloneness is total and complete. Not loneliness but aloneness. Loneliness is always concerned with others, aloneness is concerned with oneself. I feel lonely when there is no link between me and anyone else, but I feel alone when I am. Now one should be alone in every dimension. Words, concepts, theories, philosophies, doctrines, gurus, scriptures, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddha, Christ, Krishna, Mahavira. One should be alone now, otherwise anything that is present will become a mirror. Buddha will become a mirror now. Very dear, but very dangerous. If you are absolutely alone, there will be nothing in which you can be reflected. So meditation is the word for the fifth body. It means to be totally alone, free from every type of mentation. It means to be with no mind. If there is any type of mind it will become a mirror and you will be reflected in it. One should now be in no mind, with no thinking, no contemplation. In the sixth body there is no mirror. Now only the cosmic is. You have been lost. You are no more, the dreamer is not. But the dream can still exist without the dreamer. And when there is a dream without the dreamer, it looks like authentic reality. There is no mind, no one to think, so whatever is known is known. It becomes your knowledge. Myths of creation come, they float by. You are not, things are just floating by. No one is there to judge, no one is there to dream. But a mind that is not, still is. A mind that is annihilated still exists, not as an individual, but as the cosmic whole. You are not, but the Brahma is. That is why they say that the whole world is a dream of the Brahma. This whole world is a dream, Maya. Not a dream of any individual, but a dream of the total, the whole. You are not, but the total is dreaming. Now the only distinction is whether the dream is positive. If it is positive, it is illusory, it is a dream, because in an ultimate sense only the negative is. When everything has become part of the formless, when everything has come back to the original source, then everything is and at the same time is not. The positive is the only factor remaining. It must be jumped over. So if, in the sixth body, the positive is lost, you penetrate into the seventh. The real of the sixth is the door of the seventh. If there is nothing positive, no myth, no image, then the dream has ceased. Then there is only what is, suchness. Now nothing exists but existence. Things are not, but the source is. The tree is not, but the seed is. Those who have known have called this type of mind samadhi with seed, samadhi sabij. Everything has been lost. Everything has returned to the original source, the cosmic seed. The tree is not, but the seed is. But from the seed, dreaming is still possible, so even the seed must be destroyed. In the seventh, there is neither dream nor reality. You can only see something real up to the point where dreaming is possible. If there is no possibility of dreams, then neither the real nor the illusory exists. So the seventh is the center. Now, dream and reality have become one. There is no difference. Either you dream of nothingness or you know nothingness, but the nothingness remains the same. If I dream about you, it is illusory. If I see you, it is real. But if I dream about your absence or I see your absence, there is no difference. If you dream about the absence of anything, the dream will be the same as the absence itself. Only in terms of something positive is there a real difference. So up to the sixth body there is a difference. In the seventh body only nothingness remains. There is an absence even of the seed. This is nirbij samadhi, seedless samadhi. Now there is no possibility of dreaming. So there are 7 types of dreams and 7 types of realities. They penetrate one another. Because of this, there is much confusion. But if you make a distinction between the 7, if you become clear about it, it will help much. Psychology is still far away from knowing about dreams. What it knows is only about the physiological, and sometimes the etheric. But the etheric too is interpreted as the physiological. Jung has penetrated a little deeper than Freud, but his analysis of the human mind is treated as mythological, religious. Still, he has the seed. If Western psychology is to develop, it is through Jung, not Freud. Freud was the pioneer, but every pioneer becomes a barrier for further progress if attachment to his advances becomes an obsession. Even though Freud is out of date now, Western psychology is still obsessed with its Freudian beginning. Freud must become part of history now. Psychology must proceed further. In America, they are trying to learn about dreaming through laboratory methods. There are many dream laboratories, but the methods used are concerned only with the physiological. Yoga, Tantra and other esoteric training must be introduced if the whole world of dreams is to be known. Every type of dream has a parallel type of reality, and if the whole Maya cannot be known, if the whole world of illusions cannot be known, then it is impossible to know the real. It is only through the illusory that the real can be known. But do not take what I have said as a theory, a system. Just make it a starting point, and begin to dream with a conscious mind. Only when you become conscious in your dreams can the real be known. We are not conscious even of our physical body. We remain unaware of it. Only when some part is diseased do we become aware. One must become aware of the body in health. To be aware of the body in disease is just an emergency measure. It is a natural, built-in process. Your mind must be aware when some part of the body is diseased so that it can be taken care of, but the moment it becomes all right again you become sleepy about it. You must become aware of your own body, its workings, its subtle feelings, its music, its silences. Sometimes the body is silent, sometimes it is noisy, sometimes relaxed. The feeling is so different in each state that it is unfortunate we are not aware of it. When you are going to sleep, there are subtle changes in your body. When you are coming out of sleep in the morning, there are changes again. One must become aware of them. When you are going to open your eyes in the morning, do not open them right away. When you have become aware that sleep is over, become aware of your body. Do not open your eyes yet. What is going on? A great change is taking place inside. The sleep is leaving you and the awakening is coming. You have seen the morning sun rising, but never your body rising. It has its own beauty. There is a morning in your body and an evening. It is called Sandhya. the moment of transformation, the moment of change. When you are going to sleep, silently watch what is happening. The sleep will come, it will be coming. Be aware. Only then can you become really aware of your physical body. And the moment you become aware of it, you will know what physiological dreaming is. Then in the morning you will be able to remember what was a physiological dream and what was not. If you know the inner feelings, the inner needs, the inner rhythms of your body, then when they are reflected in your dreams you will be able to understand the language. We have not understood the language of our own bodies. The body has its own wisdom, it has thousands and thousands of years of experience. My body has the experience of my father and mother and their father and mother and so on, centuries and centuries during which the seed of my body has developed into what it is. It has its own language. One must understand it first. When you understand it, you will know what a physiological dream is. And then, in the morning, you can separate the physiological dreams from the non-physiological dreams. Only then does a new possibility open up, to be aware of your etheric body. Only then, not before. You become more subtle. You can experience more subtle levels of sounds, perfumes, lights. Then when you walk, you know that the physiological body is walking, the etheric body is not walking. The difference is crystal clear. You are eating. The physical body is eating, not the etheric body. There are etheric thirsts, etheric hungers, etheric longings, but these things can only be seen when the physical body is known completely. Then by and by, the other bodies will become known. Dreaming is one of the greatest subjects. It is still undiscovered, unknown, hidden. It is part of the secret knowledge. But now the moment has come when everything that is secret must be made open. Everything that was hidden up till now must not be hidden any longer or it may prove dangerous. In the past it was necessary for some things to remain secret, because knowledge in the hands of the ignorant can be dangerous. This is what is happening with scientific knowledge in the West. Now scientists are aware of the crisis and they want to create secret sciences. Nuclear weapons should not have been made known to politicians. Further discoveries must remain unknown. We must wait for the time when man becomes so capable that the knowledge can be made open and it will not be dangerous. Similarly, in the realm of the spiritual, much was known in the East. But if it fell into the hands of ignorant people it would prove dangerous, so the key was hidden. The knowledge was made secret, esoteric. It was passed on from person to person very guardedly. But now, because of scientific progress, the moment has come for it to be made open. Science will prove dangerous if spiritual, esoteric truths still remain unknown. They must be made open so that spiritual knowledge will be able to keep pace with scientific knowledge. Dream is one of the greatest esoteric realms. I have said something about it so that you can begin to be aware, but I have not told you the whole science. It is neither necessary nor helpful. I have left gaps. If you go in, these gaps will be filled automatically. What I have said is simply the outer layer. It is not enough for you to be able to make a theory about it, but enough for you to begin. Throughout history, knowledge systems, spiritual, scientific, and philosophical, have described existence as a multi-tiered reality. From quantum mechanics to mysticism, the idea persists that reality is not singular, but rather composed of multiple layers of experience and perception. Reality is structured in 7 levels of perception and manifestation. Consciousness evolves through 7 states, shaping our experience. The human body exists in 7 interwoven dimensions. Color, as a frequency of light, mirrors the vibrational states of existence. Reality unfolds in 7 stages, from pure potential to physical existence, then back to transcendence. These mirror the 7 layers of consciousness, body, and color, reinforcing the idea that reality itself is a frequency-based system. Consciousness as a spectrum of vibration. If consciousness moves from lower, instinctual, to higher, universal awareness states, it follows the same pattern as color, low-frequency red to high-frequency violet, and energy, dense matter to subtle light. This suggests that enlightenment is a shift into higher vibrational states of existence. Lower consciousness operates in the red, material spectrum, while higher consciousness reaches into ultraviolet and beyond. Each layer of the human body functions at a specific vibrational frequency, aligning with the color spectrum and states of consciousness. This means healing practices, sound, light, meditation, work by tuning the body's frequencies. Illness may result from vibrational disharmony between layers of existence. The sevenfold structure seen in reality, consciousness, the human body, and color suggests that all existence operates as a harmonic spectrum of energy. If everything is vibration, then the material, mental, and spiritual worlds are not separate but different expressions of the same fundamental force. This hypothetical thesis proposes that consciousness is an energy field that moves through 7 vibrational states. The human body is a multidimensional organism resonating across these states. Colors, as light frequencies, serve as a key to understanding these layers. Reality itself is structured as a spectrum, from material to immaterial, from seen to unseen. Imagine existence as a grand symphony of frequencies. Every human, every thought, every color, and every body is part of this orchestration of reality. To master life is to learn how to tune into the right frequencies, to harmonize with the cosmic rhythm, to move beyond illusion, and to resonate with the highest vibrations of being. In this, we are not just observers of the universe, we are active participants in its melody as a dream. The words can be translated, but from sources where you haven't looked for them. Jung was better than Freud as far as the search beyond superficial consciousness is concerned, but Jung too is just a beginning. You can get more of a glimpse of what is meant by these things from Steiner's Anthroposophy or from theosophical writings, Madame Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine, Isis Unveiled and other works, or the works of Annie Besant, Leadbeater, Colonel Alcott. You can get a glimpse from Rosicrucian doctrines. There is also a great Hermetic tradition in the West, as well as the secret writings of the Essenes, the Hermetic fraternity by whom Christ was initiated. And more recently, Gurdjieff and Ouspensky can be of help. So something can be found in fragments, and these fragments can be put together. And what I have said in your terminology. I have used only one word that is not part of Western terminology, the nirvanic. The other 6 terms, the physical, the etheric, the astral, the mental, the spiritual and the cosmic, are not Indian. They belong to the West as well. In the West the seventh has never been talked about, not because there were no persons who knew about it, but because the seventh is impossible to communicate. If you find these terms difficult, then you can simply use the first, the second, the third, and so on. Don't use any terms to describe them, just describe them. The description will be enough, terminology is of no consequence. These 7 can be approached from so many directions. As far as dream is concerned, Freud's, Jung's and Adler's terms can be used. What they know as the conscious is the first body. The unconscious is the second, not exactly the same, but near enough to it. What they call the collective unconscious is the third, again, not exactly the same but something approximate to it. And if there are no common terms in usage, new terms can be coined. That is always better, in fact, because new terms have no old connotations. When a new term is used, because you have no previous association with it, it becomes more significant and is understood more deeply. So you can coin new words. The etheric means that which is concerned with the sky and with space. The astral means the minutest, the sukshma, the last one, the atomic, beyond which matter ceases to exist. For the mental there are no difficulties. For the spiritual there are no difficulties. For the cosmic too there are no difficulties. Then you come to the seventh, the nirvanic. Nirvanic means total cessation, the absolute void. Not even the seed exists now, everything has ceased. Linguistically the word means extinction of the flame. The flame has gone out, the light is turned off. Then you cannot ask where it has gone. It has just ceased to be. Nirvana means the flame that has gone out. Now it is nowhere, or everywhere. It has no particular point of existence and no particular time or moment of existence. Now it is space itself, time itself. It is existence or non-existence, it makes no difference. Because it is everywhere, you can use either term. If it is somewhere it cannot be everywhere, and if it is everywhere it cannot be somewhere, so nowhere and everywhere mean the same thing. So for the seventh body you will have to use nirvanic, because there is no better word for it. Words in themselves have no meaning at all. Only experiences have meaning. Only if you have experienced something of these 7 bodies will it be meaningful to you. To help you, there are different methods to be used on each plane. Begin from the physical. Then every other step opens for you. The moment you work on the first body, you have glimpses of the second. So begin from the physical. Be aware of it moment to moment. And not only outwardly aware. You can become aware of your body from the inside also. I can become aware of my hand as I have seen it from the outside, but there is an inner feeling to it too. When I close my eyes the hand is not seen, but there is still an inner feeling of something being there. So do not be aware of your body as seen from the outside. This cannot lead you inward. The inner feeling is quite different. When you feel the body from within, you will know for the first time what it is to be inside the body. When you see it only from the outside you cannot know its secrets. You know only the outer boundaries, how it looks to others. If I see my body from the outside, I see it as it looks to others, but I have not known it as it is for me. You can see my hand from the outside and I can see it. It is something objective. You can share the knowledge of it with me. But my hand, looked at in that way, is not known inwardly. It has become public property. You can know it as well as I. Only the moment I see it from within does it become mine in a way that is unshareable. You cannot know it. You cannot know how I feel it from within. Only I can know it. The body that is known to us is not our body. It is the body that is objectively known to all, the body that a physician can know in a laboratory. It is not the body that is. Only private, personal knowing can lead you inward, public knowledge cannot. That is why physiology or psychology, which are observations from without, have not led to a knowledge of our inner bodies. It is only the physical body that they know about. So many dilemmas have been created because of this. One may feel beautiful from within, but we can force him to believe that he is ugly. If we are collectively agreed upon it, he may also come to agree. But no one feels ugly within. The inner feeling is always of beauty. This outer feeling is not really a feeling at all. It is just a fashion, a criterion imposed from without. A person who is beautiful in one society may be ugly in another. A person who is beautiful in one period of history may not be in another. But the innermost feeling is always of beauty, so if there were no outside criteria there would be no ugliness. We have a fixed image of beauty that everyone shares. That is why there is ugliness in beauty, otherwise not. If we all become blind, no one will be ugly. Everyone will be beautiful. So the feeling of the body from within is the first step. In different situations the body will feel different from within. When you are in love, you have a particular inner feeling. When you experience hate, the inner feeling is different. If you ask Buddha, he will say, love is beauty, because in his inner feeling he knows that when he is loving he is beautiful. When there is hatred, anger, jealousy, something happens inwardly that makes you begin to feel ugly. So you will feel yourself to be different in different situations, in different moments, in different states of mind. When you are feeling lazy, there is a difference from when you are feeling active. When you are sleepy, there is a difference. These differences must be distinctly known. Only then do you become acquainted with the inner life of your body. Then you know the inner history, the inner geography of yourself in childhood, in youth, in old age. The moment one becomes aware of his body from within, the second body automatically comes into view. This second body will be known from the outside now. If you know the first body from the inside, then you will become aware of the second body from the outside. From outside the first body you can never know the second body, but from inside it you can see the outside of the second body. Every body has two dimensions, the outer and the inner. Just like a wall has two sides, one looking outward and the other looking inward, every body has a boundary, a wall. When you come to know the first body from the inside, you become aware of the second body from the outside. You are now in between, inside the first body and outside the second. This second body, the etheric body, is like condensed smoke. You can pass through it without any hindrance, but it is not transparent, you cannot look into it from the outside. The first body is solid. The second body is just like the first as far as shape is concerned, but it is not solid. When the first body dies, the second remains alive for 13 days. It travels with you. Then, after 13 days, it too is dead. It disperses, evaporates. If you come to know the second body while the first is still alive, you can be aware of this happening. The second body can go out of your body. Sometimes in meditation this second body goes up or down, and you have a feeling that gravitation has no pull over you, you have left the earth. But when you open your eyes, you are on the ground, and you know that you were there all the time. This feeling that you have risen comes because of the second body, not the first. For the second body there is no gravitation, so the moment you know the second you feel a certain freedom that was unknown to the physical body. Now you can go outside of your body and come back. This is the second step if you want to know the experiences of your second body. And the method is not difficult. Just wish to be outside your body and you're outside it. The wish itself is the fulfillment. For the second body no effort has to be made because there is no gravitational pull. The difficulty for the first body is because of the gravitational force. If I want to come to your house, I will have to fight with the gravitational force. But if there is no gravitation, then the simple desire will be enough. The thing will happen. The etheric body is the body that is put to work in hypnosis. The first body is not involved in hypnosis, it is the second body. That is why a person with perfect vision can go blind. If the hypnotist says that you have gone blind, you become blind just by believing it. It is the etheric body that has been influenced, the suggestion goes to the etheric body. If you are in a deep trance, your second body can be influenced. A person who is all right can be paralyzed just by suggesting to him that, you are paralyzed. A hypnotist must not use any language that creates doubt. If he says, it appears that you have gone blind, it will not work. He must be absolutely certain about it. Only then will the suggestion work. So in the second body just say, I am outside the body. Just wish to be outside it, and you will be outside it. Ordinary sleep belongs to the first body. It is the first body, exhausted by the day's labor, work, tension, relaxing. In hypnosis, it is the second body that is put to sleep. If it is put to sleep, you can work with it. When you get any disease, 75% of it comes from the second body and spreads to the first. The second body is so suggestible that first-year medical students always catch the same disease that is being studied. They begin to have the symptoms. If headache is being discussed, unknowingly everyone goes inside and begins to ask, do I have a headache? Do I have these symptoms? Because going inward affects the etheric body, the suggestion is caught and a headache is projected, created. The pain of childbirth is not of the first body, it is of the second. So through hypnosis, childbirth can be made absolutely painless, just by suggestion. There are primitive societies in which women do not feel labor pains because the possibility has never entered their minds. But every type of civilization creates common suggestions that then become part and parcel of everybody's expectations. Under hypnosis there is no pain. Even surgery can be done under hypnosis without any pain, because if the second body gets the suggestion that there will be no pain, then there is no pain. As far as I am concerned, every type of pain, and every type of pleasure too, comes from the second body and spreads to the first. So if the suggestion changes, the same thing that has been painful can become pleasurable, and vice versa. Change the suggestion, change the etheric mind, and everything will be changed. Just wish totally and it will happen. Totality is the only difference between wish and will. When you have wished something totally, completely, with your whole mind, it becomes willpower. If you wish totally to go outside of your physiological body, you can go outside it. Then there is a possibility of knowing the second body from within, otherwise not. When you go outside your physical body, you are no longer in between, inside the first and outside the second. Now you are inside the second. The first body is not. Now you can become aware of your second body from the inside, just as you became aware of your first body from the inside. Be aware of its inner workings, its inner mechanism, the inner life. The first time you try it is difficult, but after that you will always be within two bodies, the first and the second. Your point of attention will now be in two realms, two dimensions. The moment you are inside the second body, you will be outside the third, the astral. As far as the astral is concerned, there is no need even of any will. Just the wish to be inside is enough. There is no question of totality now. If you want to go in, you can go in. The astral body is a vapor like the second body, but it is transparent. So the moment you are outside, you will be inside. You will not even know whether you are inside or outside because the boundary is transparent. The astral body is the same size as the first two bodies. Up to the fifth body, the size is the same. The content will change, but the size will be the same up to the fifth. With the sixth body the size will be cosmic. And with the seventh, there will be no size at all, not even the cosmic. The fourth body is absolutely wall-less. From inside the third body, there is not even a transparent wall. It is just a boundary, wall-less, so there is no difficulty in entering and no need of any method. So one who has achieved the third can achieve the fourth very easily. But to go beyond the fourth, there is as much difficulty as there was in going beyond the first, because now the mental ceases. The fifth is the spiritual body. Before it can be reached there is again a wall, but not in the same sense as there was a wall between the first body and the second. The wall is between different dimensions now. It is of a different plane. The four lower bodies were all concerned with one plane. The division was horizontal. Now, it is vertical. So the wall between the fourth and the fifth is bigger than between any two of the lower bodies, because our ordinary way of looking is horizontal, not vertical. We look from side to side, not up and down. But the movement from the fourth body to the fifth is from a lower plane to a higher plane. The difference is not between outside and inside but between up and down. Not unless you begin to look upward can you move into the fifth. The mind always looks downward. That is why yoga is against the mind. The mind flows downward just like water. Water has never been made the symbol of any spiritual system because its intrinsic nature is to flow downward. Fire has been the symbol of so many systems. Fire goes upward, it never goes downward. So in moving from the fourth body to the fifth body, fire is the symbol. One must look upward, one must stop seeing downward. How to look upward? What is the way? You must have heard that in meditation the eyes must be looking upward to the Ajna chakra. The eyes must be focused upward as if you are going to see inside your skull. Eyes are only symbolic. The real question is of vision. Our vision, our faculty for seeing, is associated with the eyes, so eyes become the means through which even inward vision happens. If you turn your eyes upward, then your vision too goes upward. Raja Yoga begins with the fourth body. Only Hatha Yoga begins with the first body, other yogas begin from somewhere else. Theosophy begins from the second body, and other systems begin from the third. As civilization goes on progressing to the fourth body, many persons will be able to begin from there. But only if they have worked through the three lower bodies in their past lives can the fourth be used. Those who study Raja Yoga from scriptures or from swamis and gurus without knowing whether or not they have worked through their three lower bodies are bound to be disillusioned because one cannot begin from the fourth. The three must be crossed first. Only then does the fourth come. The fourth is the last body that it is possible to begin from. There are four yogas: Hatha Yoga for the first body, Mantra Yoga for the second, Bhakti Yoga for the third, and Raja Yoga for the fourth. In ancient days, everybody had to begin with the first body, but now there are so many types of people. One has worked up to the second body in a previous life, another up to the third, etc. But as far as dreaming is concerned, one must begin from the first body. Only then can you know the whole range of it, the whole spectrum of it. So in the fourth body, your consciousness must become like fire, going upward. There are many ways to check this. For example, if the mind is flowing towards sex, it is just like water flowing downward, because the sex center is downward. In the fourth body, one must begin directing the eyes up, not down. If consciousness is to go upward, it must begin from a center that is above the eyes, not below the eyes. There is only one center above the eyes from which the movement can be upward, the Ajna chakra. Now the two eyes must look upward toward the third eye. The third eye has been remembered in so many ways. In India, the distinction between a virgin and a girl who is married is made by a color mark on the third eye of the married one. A virgin is bound to look downward toward the sex center, but the moment she is married she must begin to look upward. Sex must change from sexuality to beyond sexuality. To help her to remember to look upward, a color mark, a tilak, is used on the third eye. Tilak marks have been used on the foreheads of so many types of persons, sannyasins, worshippers, so many types of color marks. Or, it is possible to use chandan, sandalwood paste. The moment your two eyes look upward toward the third eye, a great fire is created at the center. A burning sensation is there. The third eye is beginning to open and it must be kept cool. So in India, sandalwood paste is used. It is not only cool, it also has a particular perfume that is concerned with the third body and the transcendence of it. The coolness of the perfume, and the particular spot where it is placed, becomes an upward attraction, a remembrance of the third eye. If you close your eyes and I place my finger at your third eye spot, I am not really touching your third eye itself, but you will still begin to feel it. Even this much pressure is enough. Scarcely a touch, just a gentle fingering. So the perfume, the delicate touch of it and its coolness, is enough. Then your attention is always flowing from your eyes to the third eye. So to cross the fourth body there is only one technique, one method, and that is to look upward. Shirshasana, the headstand, the reverse position of the body, was used as a method to do this because our eyes are ordinarily looking downward. If you stand on your head you will still be looking downward, but now the downward is upward. The flow of your energy downward will be converted into an upward flow. That is why in meditation, even without knowing it, some persons will go into reverse positions. They will begin to do Shirshasana because the flow of energy has changed. Their minds are so conditioned to the downward flow that when the energy changes direction they will feel uncomfortable. When they begin to stand on their heads they will feel at ease again, because the flow of energy will again be moving downward. But it will not really be moving downward. In relation to your centers, your chakras, the energy will still be moving upward. So Shirshasana has been used as a method to take you from the fourth body to the fifth. The main thing to be remembered is to be looking upward. This can be done through tradak, staring at a fixed object, through concentration on the sun, through so many objects. But it is better to do it inwardly. Just close the eyes. But first, the first four bodies must be crossed. Only then can it be helpful, otherwise not. Otherwise it may be disturbing, it may create all sorts of mental diseases, because the whole adjustment of the system will be shattered. The four bodies are looking downward, and with your inner mind you are looking upward. Then, there is every possibility that schizophrenia will result. To me, schizophrenia is the result of such a thing. That is why ordinary psychology cannot go deeply into schizophrenia. The schizophrenic mind is simultaneously working in opposite directions, standing outside and looking inside, standing outside and looking upward. Your whole system must be in harmony. If you have not known your physical body from the inside, then your consciousness should be facing downward. That will be healthy, the adjustment is right. You must never try to turn the outward moving mind upward or schizophrenia, division, will be the result. Our civilizations, our religions, have been the basic cause for humanity's split personality. They have not been concerned with the total harmony. There are teachers who teach methods to move upward to persons who are not even inside their own physical body. The method begins to work and part of the person remains outside his body while a second part moves upward. Then there will be a split between the two. He will become two persons, sometimes this, sometimes that, a Jekyll and Hyde. There is every possibility that a person can become 7 people simultaneously. Then the split is complete. He has become 7 different energies. One part of him is moving downward, clinging to the first body, another is clinging to the second, another to the third. One part is going upward, another is going somewhere else. He has no center in him at all. Gurdjieff used to say that such a person is just like a house where the master is absent, and every servant claims he is the master. And no one can deny it, because the master himself is absent. When anybody comes to the house and knocks on the door, the servant who is nearby becomes the master. The next day, another servant answers the door and claims to be the master. A schizophrenic is without any center. And we are all like that. We have adjusted ourselves to society, that's all. The difference is only of degrees. The master is absent or asleep, and every part of us claims ownership. When the sex urge is there, sex becomes the master. Your mortality, your family, your religion, everything will be denied. Sex becomes the total owner of the house. And then, when sex has gone, frustration follows. Your reason takes charge and says, I am the master. Now reason will claim the whole house and will deny sex a home. Everybody claims the house totally. When anger is there, it becomes the master. Now there is no reason, no consciousness. Nothing else can interfere with the anger. Because of this, we cannot understand others. A person who was loving becomes angry and suddenly there is no love. We are at a loss now to understand whether he is loving or not loving. The love was just a servant, and the anger too is just a servant. The master is absent. That is why you cannot ordinarily rely on anybody else. He is not master of himself, any servant can take over. He is no one, he is not a unity. What I am saying is that one should not experiment with techniques of looking upward before crossing the first 4 bodies. Otherwise a split will be created which will be impossible to bridge, and one will have to wait for one's next life to begin again. It is better to practice techniques that begin from the beginning. If you have passed your first 3 bodies in past births, then you will pass them again within a moment. There will be no difficulty. You know the territory, you know the way. In a moment, they come before you. You recognize them, and you have passed them. Then you can go further. So my insistence is always to begin from the first body. For everyone, to move from the 4th body is the most significant thing. Up to the 4th body you are human. Now you become superhuman. In the first body you are just an animal. Only with the 2nd body does humanity come into being. And only in the 4th does it flower completely. Civilization has never gone beyond the 4th. Beyond the 4th is beyond the human. We cannot classify Christ as a human being. A Buddha, a Mahavira, a Krishna, are beyond the human. They are superhuman. The upward look is a jump from the 4th body. When I am looking at my first body from outside it, I am just an animal with the possibility of being human. The only difference is that I can become human and the animal cannot. As far as the present situation is concerned, we are both below humanity, subhuman. But I have a possibility to go beyond. And from the 2nd body onward, the flowering of the human being happens. Even someone in the 4th body looks superhuman to us. They are not. An Einstein or a Voltaire looks superhuman, but they are not. They are the complete flowering of the human being and we are below human, so they are above us. But they are not above the human. Only a Buddha, a Christ or a Zarathustra is more than human. By looking upward, by raising their consciousness upward from the 4th body, they have crossed the boundary of the mind, they have transcended the mental body. There are parables worth our understanding. Muhammad, looking upward, says that something has come to him from above. We interpret this above geographically, so the sky becomes the abode of the gods. For us, upward means the sky, downward means the layer below the earth. But if we interpret it in this way, the symbol has not been understood. When Muhammad is looking upward he is not looking toward the sky, he is looking toward the Ajna chakra. When he says that something has come to him from above, his feeling is right. But, up, has a different meaning for us. In every picture, Zarathustra is looking upward. His eyes are never downward. He was looking upward when he first saw the divine. The divine came to him as fire. That is why the Persians have been fire worshippers. This feeling of fire comes from the Ajna chakra. When you look upward, the spot feels fiery, as if everything is burning. Because of that burning, you are transformed. The lower being is burnt, it ceases to be, and the upper being is born. That is the meaning of passing through fire. After the 5th body you move into still another realm, another dimension. From the 1st body to the 4th body the movement is from outside to inside, from the 4th to the 5th it is from downward to upward, from the 5th it is from ego to non-ego. Now the dimension is different. There is no question of outside, inside, upward or downward. The question is of I and non-I. The question is now concerned with whether there is a center or not. A person is without any center up to the 5th, split in different parts. Only for the 5th body is there a center, a unity, oneness. But the center becomes the ego. Now this center will be a hindrance for further progress. Every step that was a help becomes a hindrance for further progress. You have to leave every bridge you cross. It was helpful in crossing, but it will become a hindrance if you cling to it. Up to the 5th body, a center has to be created. Gurdjieff says this 5th center is the crystallization. Now there are no servants, the master has taken charge. Now the master is the master. He is awakened, he has come back. When the master is present, the servants subside, they become silent. So when you enter the fifth body, crystallization of the ego happens. But now, for further progress, this crystallization must be lost again. Lost into the void, into the cosmic. Only one who has can lose, so to talk about egolessness before the fifth body is nonsense, absurd. You do not have an ego, so how can you lose it? Or you can say that you have many egos, every servant has an ego. You are multi-egoistic, a multi-personality, a multi-psyche, but not a unified ego. You cannot lose the ego because you do not have it. A rich man can renounce his riches, but not a poor one. He has nothing to renounce, nothing to lose. But there are poor people who think about renunciation. A rich person is afraid of renunciation because he has something to lose, but a poor one is always ready to renounce. He is ready, but he has nothing to renounce. The fifth body is the richest. It is the culmination of all that is possible for a human being. The fifth is the peak of individuality, the peak of love, of compassion, of everything that is worthwhile. The thorns have been lost. Now, the flower too must be lost. Then there will simply be perfume, no flower. The sixth is the realm of perfume, cosmic perfume. No flower, no center. A circumference, but no center. You can say that everything has become a center, or that now there is no center. Just a diffused feeling is there. There is no split, no division, not even the division of the individual into the I, and the non-I, the I, and the other. There is no division at all. So the individual can be lost in either of two ways. One, schizophrenic, splitting into many subpersons, and another, cosmic, lost into the ultimate, lost into the greater, the greatest, the Brahma, lost into the expanse. Now the flower is not, but the perfume is. The flower too is a disturbance, but when only the perfume is, it is perfect. Now there is no source, so it cannot die. It is undying. Everything that has a source will die, but now the flower is not, so there is no source. The perfume is uncaused, so there is no death and no boundary to it. A flower has limitations, perfume is unlimited. There is no barrier to it. It goes on, and goes beyond. So from the fifth body the question is not of upward, downward, sideways, inside, outside. The question is whether to be with an ego or without an ego. And the ego is the most difficult thing of all to lose. The ego is not a problem up to the fifth body because progress is ego-fulfilling. No one wants to be schizophrenic, everyone would prefer to have a crystallized personality. So every sadhaka, every seeker, can progress to the fifth body. There is no method to move beyond the fifth body because every type of method is bound with the ego. The moment you use a method, the ego is strengthened. So those who are concerned with going beyond the fifth, talk of no method. They talk of methodlessness, of no technique. Now there is no how. From the fifth, there is no method possible. You can use a method up to the fifth, but then no method will be of use because the user is to be lost. If you use anything, the user will become stronger. His ego will go on crystallizing, it will become a nucleus of crystallization. That is why those who have remained in the fifth body say there are infinite souls, infinite spirits. They think of each spirit as if it were an atom. Two atoms cannot meet. They are windowless, doorless, closed to everything outside themselves. Ego is windowless. You can use a word of Leibniz, monads. Those who remain in the fifth body become monads, windowless atoms. Now you are alone, and alone, and alone. But this crystallized ego has to be lost. How to lose it when there is no method? How to go beyond it when there is no path? How to escape from it? There is no door. Zen monks talk about the gateless gate. Now there is no gate, and still one has to go beyond it. So what to do? The first thing, do not be identified with this crystallization. Just be aware of this closed house of I. Just be aware of it, don't do anything, and there is an explosion. You will be beyond it. They have a parable in Zen. A goose egg is put in a bottle. The goose comes out of the egg and begins to grow, but the mouth of the bottle is so small that the goose cannot come out of the bottle. It grows bigger and bigger, and the bottle becomes too small to live in. Now, either the bottle will have to be destroyed to save the goose, or the goose will die. Seekers are asked, what is to be done? We do not want to lose either. The goose is to be saved and the bottle also. So what to do? This is the question of the fifth body. When there is no way out and the goose is growing, when the crystallization has become consolidated, what to do now? The seeker goes inside a room, closes the door and begins to puzzle over it. What to do? Only two things seem to be possible. Either to destroy the bottle and save the goose, or to let the goose die and save the bottle. The meditator goes on thinking and thinking. He thinks of something, but then it will be cancelled because there is no way to do it. The teacher sends him back to think some more. For many nights and many days the seeker goes on thinking, but there is no way to do it. Finally a moment comes when thinking ceases. He runs out shouting, Eureka! The goose is out. The teacher never asks how, because the whole thing is just nonsense. So to move from the fifth body, the problem becomes a Zen koan. One should just be aware of the crystallization, and the goose is out. A moment comes when you are out, there is no I. The crystallization has been gained and lost. For the fifth, crystallization, the center, the ego, was essential. As a passage, as a bridge, it was a necessity, otherwise the fifth body could not be crossed. But now it is no longer needed. There are persons who have achieved the fifth without passing through the fourth. A person who has many riches has achieved the fifth, he has crystallized in a way. A person who has become president of a country has crystallized in a way. A Hitler, a Mussolini, are crystallized in a way. But the crystallization is in the fifth body. If the four lower bodies are not in accordance with it, then the crystallization becomes a disease. Mahavira and Buddha are crystallized too, but their crystallization is different. We all long to fulfill the ego because of an innermost need to reach the fifth body. But if we choose a shortcut, then in the end we will be lost. The shortest way is through riches, power, politics. The ego can be achieved, but it is a false crystallization, it is not in accordance with your total personality. It is like a corn that forms on your foot and becomes crystallized. It is a false crystallization, an abnormal growth, a disease. If the goose is out in the fifth, you are in the sixth. From the fifth to the sixth is the realm of mystery. Up to the fifth, scientific methods can be used, so yoga is helpful. But after that it is meaningless, because yoga is a methodology, a scientific technique. In the fifth, Zen is very helpful. It is a method to go from the fifth to the sixth. Zen flowered in Japan, but it began in India. Its roots came from yoga. Yoga flowered into Zen. Zen has had much appeal in the West because the Western ego is, in a sense, crystallized. In the West, they are the masters of the world, they have everything. But the ego has become crystallized through the wrong process. It has not developed through the transcendence of the first four bodies. So Zen has become appealing to the West, but it will not help because the crystallization is wrong. Gurdjieff is much more helpful to the West because he works from the first body to the fifth. He is not helpful beyond the fifth. Only up to the fifth, to the crystallization. Through his techniques, you can achieve a proper crystallization. Zen has been just a fad in the West because it has no roots there. It developed through a very long process in the East, beginning with Hatha Yoga and culminating in the Buddha. Thousands and thousands of years of humbleness. Not of ego but of passivity. Not of positive action but of receptivity. Through a long duration of the female mind, the receptive mind. The East has always been female, while the West is male, aggressive, positive. The East has been an openness, a receptivity. Zen could be of help in the East because other methods, other systems, worked on the four lower bodies. These four became the roots, and Zen could flower. Today, Zen has become almost meaningless in Japan. The reason is that Japan has become absolutely Western. Once the Japanese were the most humble people, but now their humbleness is just a show. It is no longer part of their innermost core. So Zen has been uprooted in Japan and is popular now in the West. But this popularity is only because of the false crystallization of the ego. From the fifth body to the sixth, Zen is very helpful. But only then, neither before nor beyond. It is absolutely useless for the other bodies, even harmful. To teach university-level courses in the primary school not only does not help, it may be harmful. If Zen is used before the fifth body you may experience Satori, but that is not Samadhi. Satori is a false Samadhi. It is a glimpse of Samadhi, but it is just a glimpse. As far as the fourth body, the mental body, is concerned, Satori will make you more artistic, more aesthetic. It will create a sense of beauty in you, it will create a feeling of well-being. But it will not be a help in crystallization. It will not help you to move from the fourth body to the fifth. Only beyond crystallization is Zen helpful. The goose is out of the bottle, without any how. But only at this point can it be practiced, after so many other methods have been used. A painter can paint with closed eyes, he can paint as if it is a game. An actor can act as if he is not acting. In fact, the acting becomes perfect only when it does not look like acting. But many years of labor have gone into it, many years of practice. Now the actor is completely at ease, but that at easeness is not achieved in a day. It has its own methods. We walk, but we never know how we do it. If someone asks you how you walk you say, I just walk. There is no how to it. But the how takes place when a child begins to walk. He learns. If you were to tell the child that walking needs no method, you just walk. It would be nonsense. The child would not understand it. Krishnamurti has been talking this way, talking with adults who have children's minds, saying, you can walk. You just walk. People listen. They are charmed. Easy. To walk without any method. Then, everyone can walk. Krishnamurti too has become attractive in the West, and just because of this. If you look at Hatha Yoga or Mantra Yoga or Bhakti Yoga or Raja Yoga or Tantra, it looks so long, so arduous, so difficult. Centuries of labor are needed, births and births. They cannot wait. Some shortcut, something instantaneous must be there. So Krishnamurti appeals to them. He says, you just walk. You walk into God. There is no method. But no method is the most arduous thing to achieve. To act as if one is not acting, to speak as if one is not speaking, to walk effortlessly as if one is not walking, is based on long effort. Labor and effort are necessary, they are needed. But they have a limitation. They are needed up to the fifth body, but they are useless from the fifth to the sixth. You will go nowhere, the goose will never be out. That is the problem with Indian yogis. They find it difficult to cross the fifth because they are method enchanted, method hypnotized. They have always worked with method. There has been a clear-cut science up to the fifth and they progressed with ease. It was an effort, and they could do it. No matter how much intensity was needed, it was no problem to them. No matter how much effort, they could supply it. But now in the fifth, they have to cross from the realm of method to no method. Now they are at a loss. They sit down, they stop. And for so many seekers, the fifth becomes the end. That is why there is talk of 5 bodies, not 7. Those who have gone only to the fifth think that it is the end. It is not the end, it is a new beginning. Now one must move from the individual to the non-individual. Zen, or methods like Zen, done effortlessly, can be helpful. Zazen means just sitting, doing nothing. A person who has done much cannot conceive of this. Just sitting and doing nothing. It is inconceivable. A Gandhi cannot conceive of it. He says, I will spin my wheel. Something must be done. This is my prayer, my meditation. Non-doing to him means doing nothing. Non-doing has its own realm, its own bliss, its own adjustment, but that is from the fifth body to the sixth. It cannot be understood before that. From the sixth to the seventh, there is not even no method. Method is lost in the fifth, and no method is lost in the sixth. One day you simply find that you are in the seventh. Even the cosmos has gone, only nothingness is. It just happens. It is a happening from the sixth to the seventh. Uncaused, unknown. Only when it is uncaused does it become discontinuous with what went before. If it is caused, then there is a continuity and the being cannot be lost, even in the seventh. The seventh is total non-being, nirvana, emptiness, non-existence. There is no possibility of any continuity in moving from existence to non-existence. It is just a jump, uncaused. If it were caused, there would be a continuity, and it would be just like the sixth body. So to move from the sixth body to the seventh cannot even be talked about. It is a discontinuity, a gap. Something was, and something now is, and there is no connection between the two. Something has just ceased, and something has just come in. There is no relationship between them. It is as if a guest has left from one door and another guest has entered from the other side. There is no relationship between the going of one and the coming of the other. They are unrelated. The seventh body is the ultimate, because now you have crossed even the world of causation. You have gone to the original source, to that which was before creation and that which will be after annihilation. So from the sixth to the seventh there is not even no method. Nothing is of any help, everything can be a hindrance. From the cosmic to nothingness there is just a happening, uncaused, unprepared for, unasked for. It happens instantaneously. Only one thing is to be remembered, you must not cling to the sixth. Clinging will prevent you from moving to the seventh. There is no positive way to move to the seventh, but there can be a negative hindrance. You can cling to the Brahma, the cosmos. You can say, I have reached. Those who say they have reached cannot go to the seventh. Those who say, I have known, remain in the sixth. So those who wrote the Vedas remained in the sixth. Only a Buddha crosses the sixth because he says, I do not know. He refuses to give answers to the ultimate questions. He says, no one knows. No one has known. Buddha could not be understood. Those who heard him said, no, our teachers have known. They say Brahma is. But Buddha is talking of the seventh body. No teacher can say he has known about the seventh because the moment you say it you lose touch with it. Once you have known it, you cannot say. Up to the sixth body symbols can be expressive, but there is no symbol for the seventh. It is just an emptiness. There is a temple in China that is totally empty. There is nothing in it, no image, no scriptures, nothing. It is just bare, naked walls. Even the priest resides outside. He says, a priest can only be outside the temple, he cannot be inside. If you ask the priest where the deity of the temple is, he will say, see it. And there is emptiness, there is no one. He will say, see, here, now, and there is only a naked, bare, empty temple. If you look for objects then you cannot cross the sixth to the seventh. So there are negative preparations. A negative mind is needed, a mind that is not longing for anything, not even moksha, not even deliverance, not even nirvana, not even truth. A mind that is not waiting for anything, not even for God, for Brahma. It just is, without any longing, without any desire, without any wish. Just as ness. Then, it happens. And even the cosmos is gone. So you can cross into the seventh by and by. Begin from the physical and work through the etheric. Then the astral, the mental, the spiritual. Up to the fifth you can work, and then, from the fifth on, just be aware. Doing is not important then, consciousness is important. And finally, from the sixth to the seventh, even consciousness is not important. Only is ness, being. This is the potentiality of our seeds. This is our possibility. The original source of all tension is becoming. One is always trying to be something, no one is at ease with himself as he is. The being is not accepted, the being is denied, and something else is taken as an ideal to become. So the basic tension is always between that which you are and that which you long to become. You desire to become something. Tension means that you are not pleased with what you are, and you long to be what you are not. Tension is created between these two. What you desire to become is irrelevant. If you want to become wealthy, famous, powerful, or even if you want to be free, liberated, to be divine, immortal, even if you long for salvation, moksha, then too the tension will be there. Anything that is desired as something to be fulfilled in the future, against you as you are, creates tension. The more impossible the ideal is, the more tension there is bound to be. So a person who is a materialist is ordinarily not so tense as one who is religious, because the religious person is longing for the impossible, for the far off. The distance is so great that only a great tension can fill the gap. Tension means a gap between what you are and what you want to be. If the gap is great, the tension will be great. If the gap is small, the tension will be small. And if there is no gap at all, it means you are satisfied with what you are. In other words, you do not long to be anything other than what you are. Then your mind exists in the moment. There is nothing to be tense about, you are at ease with yourself. You are in the Tao. To me, if there is no gap you are religious, you are in the Dharma. The gap can have many layers. If the longing is physical, the tension will be physical. When you seek a particular body, a particular shape, if you long for something other than what you are on a physical level, then there is tension in your physical body. One wants to be more beautiful. Now your body becomes tense. This tension begins at your first body, the physiological, but if it is insistent, constant, it may go deeper and spread to the other layers of your being. If you are longing for psychic powers, then the tension begins at the psychic level and spreads. The spreading is just like when you throw a stone in the lake. It drops at a particular point, but the vibrations created by it will go on spreading into the infinite. So tension may start from any one of your 7 bodies, but the original source is always the same. The gap between a state that is and a state that is longed for. If you have a particular type of mind and you want to change it, transform it, if you want to be more clever, more intelligent, then tension is created. Only if we accept ourselves totally is there no tension. This total acceptance is the miracle, the only miracle. To find a person who has accepted himself totally is the only surprising thing. Existence itself is non-tense. Tension is always because of hypothetical, non-existential possibilities. In the present there is no tension, tension is always future-oriented. It comes from the imagination. You can imagine yourself as something other than you are. This potential that has been imagined will create tension. So the more imaginative a person is, the more tension is a possibility. Then the imagination has become destructive. Imagination can also become constructive, creative. If your whole capacity to imagine is focused in the present, in the moment, not in the future, then you can begin to see your existence as poetry. Your imagination is not creating a longing, it is being used in living. This living in the present is beyond tension. Animals are not tense, trees are not tense, because they do not have the capacity to imagine. They are below tension, not beyond it. Their tension is just a potentiality, it has not become actual. They are evolving. A moment will come when tension will explode in their beings and they will begin to long for the future. It is bound to happen. The imagination becomes active. The first thing the imagination becomes active about is the future. You create images, and because there are no corresponding realities, you go on creating more and more images. But as far as the present is concerned, you cannot ordinarily conceive of the imagination in relation to it. How can you be imaginative in the present? There seems to be no need. This point must be understood. If you can be consciously present in the present, you will not be living in your imagination. Then the imagination will be free to create within the present itself. Only the right focus is needed. If the imagination is focused on the real, it begins to create. The creation may take any form. If you are a poet, it becomes an explosion of poetry. The poetry will not be a longing for the future, but an expression of the present. Or if you are a painter, the explosion will be of painting. The painting will not be of something as you have imagined it, but as you have known it and lived it. When you are not living in the imagination, the present moment is given to you. You can express it, or you can go into silence. But the silence, now, is not a dead silence that is practiced. This silence too is an expression of the present moment. The moment is so deep that now it can be expressed only through silence. Not even poetry is adequate, painting is not adequate. No expression is possible. Silence is the only expression. This silence is not something negative but, rather, a positive flowering. Something has flowered within you, the flower of silence, and through this silence all that you are living is expressed. A second point is also to be understood. This expression of the present through the imagination is neither an imagination of the future nor a reaction against the past. It is not an expression of any experience that has been known. It is the experience of experiencing, as you are living it, as it is happening in you. Not a lived experience, but a living process of experiencing. Then your experience and experiencing are not two things. They are one and the same. Then there is no painter. The experiencing itself has become the painting, the experiencing itself has expressed itself. You are not a creator. You are creativity, a living energy. You are not a poet, you are poetry. The experience is neither for the future nor for the past, it is neither from the future nor from the past. The moment itself has become eternity, and everything comes from it. It is a flowering. This flowering will have 7 layers, just like tension has 7 layers. It will exist in every body. For example, if it happens on the physiological level, you will become beautiful in quite a new sense. This beauty is not of form but of the formless, not of the visible but of the invisible. And if you can feel this non-tense moment in your body, you will know a well-being that you have not known before, a positive well-being. We have known states of well-being that are negative in the sense that when we are not ill we say we are healthy. This health is simply a negation of disease. It has nothing positive about it, it is just that disease is not there. The medical definition of health is that if you are not ill then you are healthy. But health has a positive dimension also. It is not just the absence of illness, it is the presence of health. Your body can be non-tense only when you are living a moment-to-moment existence. If you are eating and the moment has become eternity, then there is no past and no future. The very process of eating is all that is. You are not doing something, you have become the doing. There will be no tension, your body will feel fulfilled. Or if you are in sexual communion and the sex is not just a relief from sexual tension but, rather, a positive expression of love. If the moment has become total, whole, and you are in it completely, then you will know a positive well-being in your body. If you are running, and the running has become the totality of your existence, if you are the sensations that are coming to you, not something apart from them but one with them, if there is no future, no goal to this running itself is the goal, then you know a positive well-being. Then your body is non-tense. On the physiological level, you have known a moment of non-tense living. And the same is true with each of the 7 bodies. To understand a non-tense moment in the first body is easy because we already know 2 things that are possible in the body. Disease, a positive illness. Negatively defined well-being, an absence of illness. This much we have already known, so we can conceive of a third possibility, that of positive well-being, health. But to understand what non-tension is in the second body, the etheric, is a bit more difficult, because you have not known anything about it. Still, certain things can be understood. Dreams are basically concerned with the second body, the etheric. So ordinarily when we talk about dreams what we are talking about are dreams of the etheric body. But if your physical body has been living in tension, then many dreams will be created by it. For example, if you have been hungry or on a fast, then a particular type of dream is created. This is physiological dreaming. It is not concerned with the etheric body. The etheric body has its own tension. We know the etheric body only in dreams, so if the etheric body is tense, the dream becomes a nightmare. Even in your dream you will be tense now, the tension will follow you. The first tension in the etheric body is concerned with the fulfillment of your desires. We all have dreams about love. Sex is physiological, love is not. Love has nothing to do with the physical body, it is concerned with the etheric body, but if it is not fulfilled, then even your physical body may suffer because of it. Not only does your physical body have needs that have to be fulfilled, but your etheric body also has needs. It has its own hungers, it also needs food. Love is that food. We all go on dreaming about love, but we are never in love. Everybody dreams about love, how it should be, with whom it should be, and everyone is frustrated in it. Either we are dreaming about the future or, in frustration, about the past, but we are never loving. There are other tensions in the etheric body as well, but love is the one that can be most easily understood. If you can love in the moment, then a non-tense situation is created in the etheric body. But you cannot love in the moment if you have demands, expectations, conditions for your love, because demands, expectations and conditions are concerned with the future. The present is beyond our specifications. It is as it is. But you can have expectations about the future, how it should be. Love too has become a should, it is always about what should be. You can be loving in the present only if your love is not an expectation, a demand, only if it is unconditional. Also, if you are loving only to one person and not to someone else, then you can never love in the present. If your love is a relationship and not a state of mind, you cannot love in the present because, very subtly, that too is a condition. If I say I can be loving only to you, then when you are not there I will not be loving. For 23 hours I will be in a state of not loving, and only for 1 hour, when I am with you, will I be loving. This is impossible. You cannot be in a state of love one moment and not be in love another moment. If I am healthy for 24 hours. It is impossible to be healthy for 1 hour and unhealthy for the other 23 hours. Health is not a relationship, it is a state of being. Love is not a relationship between two persons. It is a state of mind within yourself. If you are loving to everybody, not only to persons, but to things as well. Love moves from you to objects also. Even when you are alone, when no one is there, you are loving. It is just like breathing. If I take an oath that I will breathe only when I am with you, only death can follow. Breathing is not relationship, it is not tied to any relationship. And for the etheric body, love is just like breathing. It is its breath. So either you are loving, or you are not loving. The type of love that humanity has created is very dangerous. Even disease has not created as much nonsense as this so-called love has created. The whole humanity is diseased because of this wrong notion of love. If you can love and be loving, irrespective of whom, then your second body can have a sense of well-being, a positive at easeness. Then there are no nightmares. Dreams become a poetry. Then something happens in your second body, and the perfume of it not only pervades you but others also. Wherever you are, the perfume of your love spreads. And of course it has its own response, its own echoing. Real love is not a function of the ego. The ego is always asking for power, so even when you love, because your love is not real, because it is just a part of the ego, it is bound to be violent. Whenever we love, it is a violence, a type of war. Father and son, mother and daughter, husband and wife, they are not lovers, we have converted them into enemies. They are constantly fighting, and only when they are not fighting do we say it is love. The definition is negative. Between two battles there is a gap, a period of peace. But really, between two wars there is no possibility of peace. The so-called peace is only a preparation for the coming war. There is no peace between husband and wife, no love. The gap that we call love is only a preparation for the coming fight. We think that there is health when we are between two illnesses, and we think that there is love when we are between two fights. It is not love. It is only a gap between fights. You cannot go on fighting for 24 hours, so at some point you begin to love your enemy. Love is never possible as a relationship but only as a state of mind. If love comes to you as a state of mind, then your second body, the etheric body, becomes at ease, non-tense. It is relaxed. There are other reasons for tension in the second body, but I am talking about the one that can be most easily understood. Because we think we know love, it can be talked about. The third body is the astral body. It has its own tensions. They are concerned not only with this life but with your previous lives. Tension in the third body is because of the accumulation of everything you have been and of everything you have been longing for. Your total longing, thousands and thousands of lives and their repetitive longings, are in the astral body. And you have always been longing. It does not matter for what. The longing is there. The astral body is a storehouse of your total longings, your total desires. That is why it is the most tense part of your being. When you go into meditation you become aware of astral tensions, because meditation starts from the third body. People who have begun to be aware of these tensions through meditation come to me and say, since I started meditating, tensions have increased. They have not increased, but you have become aware of them now. Now you know something that you were not aware of before. These are astral tensions. Because they are essences of so many lives, they cannot be described by any particular word. Nothing can be said about them that can be understood. They can only be lived and known. Desiring itself is the tension. We are never without the desire for something or other. There are even people who desire desirelessness. It becomes a total absurdity. In the third body, the astral body, you can desire to be desireless. In fact, the desire to be desireless is one of the strongest desires. It can create one of the biggest gaps between what is and what you want to be. So accept your desires as they are, and know that you have had so many desires throughout so many lives. You have desired so much, and the whole thing has been accumulated. So for the third body, the astral body, accept your desires as they are. Do not fight with them, do not create a desire against desires. Just accept them, know that you are full of desires, and be at ease with it. Then you will become non-tense in the astral body. If you can accept the infinite crowd of desires within you without creating a desire against these desires, if you can be in the crowd of desires, they're your whole accumulated past, and accept them as they are. If this acceptance becomes total, then, in a single moment, the whole crowd disappears. They are no longer there, because they can exist only against a background of desiring, a constant desiring for that which is not. The object of desire does not matter, it is irrelevant. Desire, even desirelessness, and the background is there, the whole crowd will be there. If you accept your desire, a moment of desirelessness is created. You accept your desire as it is. Now there is nothing to desire, desiring is not there. You accept everything as it is, even your desires. Then the desires evaporate, nothing has to be done with them. The astral body becomes at ease, it comes to a state of positive well-being. Only then can you proceed to the fourth body. The fourth body is the mental body. Just as there are desires in the astral body, in the mental body there are thoughts. Contradictory thoughts, a whole crowd of them, each thought asserting itself as the whole, each thought possessing you as if it were the whole. So the tension in the fourth body is created by thoughts. Being without thoughts, not asleep, not unconscious, but a thoughtless consciousness, is the health, the well-being of the fourth body. But how can one be conscious and thoughtless? Every moment, new thoughts are being created. Every moment something of your past is coming into conflict with something of your present. You were a communist and now you are a Catholic and believe in something else, but the past is still there. You can become a Catholic, but you cannot throw off your communism. It remains in you. You can change your thoughts, but the discarded thoughts are always there waiting. You cannot unlearn them. They reach into your depths, they go into the unconscious. They will not show themselves to you because you have discarded them, but they will remain there, waiting for their chance. And the chance will come. Even in a period of 24 hours, there will be a moment when you will be a communist again and then again you will be a Catholic. This will go on, back and forth, and the total effect will be confusion. So for the mental body, tension means confusion, contradictory thoughts, contradictory experiences, contradictory expectations, and ultimately results in a confused mind. And the confused mind will only become more confused if it tries to go beyond confusion, because out of a state of confusion, no confusion cannot be achieved. You are confused. Spiritual seeking will create a new dimension for your confusion. All your other confusions are still there, and now a new confusion has been added. You meet this guru, then that, then the next, and each guru brings new confusion to you. The old confusion will be there, and a new one will be added. You will be a madhouse. This is what happens in the fourth body, the mental body. There, confusion is the tension. How can one cease to be confused? You can cease to be confused only if you do not deny one particular thought in favor of another, if you do not deny anything, if you do not deny communism in favor of religiousness, if you do not deny God in favor of a philosophy of atheism. If you accept everything that you think, there is no choice to be made and tensions disappear. If you go on choosing, you go on adding to your tensions. Awareness must be choiceless. You must be aware of your total thought process, the total confusion. The moment you become aware of it, you will know that it is all confusion. Nothing is to be chosen, the whole house must be discarded. Once you know it is just a confusion, the house can be discarded at any time, there is no difficulty in discarding it. So begin to be aware of your total mind. Do not choose, be choiceless. Do not say, I am an atheist, or, I am a theist. Do not say, I am a Christian, or, I am a Hindu. Do not choose. Just be aware that sometimes you are an atheist and sometimes a theist, sometimes you are a Christian and sometimes a communist, sometimes a saint and sometimes a sinner. Sometimes one ideology appeals to you and sometimes another, but these are all fads. Be totally aware of it. The very moment you become aware of the total process of your mind is a moment of non-identity. Then you are not identified with your mind. For the first time you know yourself as consciousness and not as mind. Mind itself becomes an object to you. Just as you are aware of other people, just as you are aware of the furniture in your house, you become aware of your mind, the mental process. Now you are this awareness, unidentified with the mind. The difficulty with the fourth body, the mental body, is that we are identified with our minds. If your body becomes ill and someone says you are ill, you do not feel offended, but if your mind becomes ill and someone says, your mind is ill, you seem to be going insane, then you are offended. Why? When someone says, your body seems to be ill, you feel that he has sympathized with you. But if someone says something about mental illness, that as far as your mind is concerned, you seem to be derailed, you are neurotic, then you are offended because there is a deeper identification with the mind than with the body. You can feel yourself to be separate from the body. You can say, this is my hand. But you cannot say, this is my mind, because you think, my mind means me. If I want to operate on your body you will allow me, but you will not allow me to operate on your mind. You will say, no, this is too much. my freedom will be lost. Mind is much more deeply identified. It is us. We do not know anything beyond it, so we are identified with it. We know something beyond the body, the mind. That is why the possibility of being non-identified with the body exists. But we do not know anything beyond the mind. Only if you become aware of thoughts can you come to know that mind is nothing but a process, an accumulation, a mechanism, a storehouse, a computer of your past experiences, your past learning, your past knowledge. It is not you. You can be without it. The mind can be operated on. It can be changed, it can be thrown from you. And now, new possibilities are there. Someday even your mind will be able to be transplanted into someone else. Just as the heart can be transplanted, sooner or later memory will be able to be transplanted. Then a person who is dying will not die completely. At least his memory can be saved and transplanted into a new child. The child will acquire the whole memory of the person. He will talk about experiences through which he has not passed, but he will say, I have known. Whatever the dead man knew the child will know, because the whole mind of the dead person has been given to him. This seems dangerous, and it is possible that we will not allow it to happen because our own identity will be lost. We are our minds. But to me, the possibility has much potentiality. A new humanity may be born out of it. We can be aware of the mind because the mind is not us, it is not me. My mind is as much a part of my body as my kidney is. Just as I can be given a new kidney and I will still be the same person, with nothing changed, so too I can go on living with a transplanted mind with nothing changed. I can go on being the old self I was, but with a new mind added to me. Mind too is a mechanism. But because of our identification with it, tension is created. So with the fourth body, awareness is health and unawareness is disease. Awareness is non-tension and non-awareness is tension. Because of thoughts, because of your identification with them, you go on living in your thoughts and a barrier is created between you and your existential being. There is a flower within your reach, but you will never come to know it because you are thinking about it. The flower will die, and you will go on thinking about it. Thinking has created a film between you and the experience, transparent, but not so transparent, only an illusion of transparency. For example, you are listening to me. But it may be that you are not really listening. If you are thinking about what I am saying, you have ceased listening. Then you have gone ahead or gone back, you are not with me. Either it is the past you will be repeating in your mind or it will be the future projected through the past, but it will not be what I am saying. It is even possible that you can repeat verbatim what I have said. Your mechanism is recording it. It can repeat what I have said, reproduce it. Then you will claim, if I have not heard you, how can I reproduce it? But a tape recorder does not hear me. Your mind can go on working just like a machine. You may be present, or you may not be. You are not needed. You can go on thinking and still be listening. The mind, the fourth body, the mental body, has become a barrier. Between you and that which is, there is a barrier. The moment you come to touch, you move away from the experience. The moment you come to look, you move away. I take your hand in my hand. This is an existential thing. But it may be that you are not there. Then you have missed. You have known, you have touched and experienced, but you were in your thoughts. So at the fourth body one must be aware of one's thought process, taken as a whole. Not choosing, not deciding, not judging, just aware of it. If you become aware, you become non-identified. And non-identification with the mechanism of the mind is non-tension. The fifth body is the spiritual body. As far as the spiritual body is concerned, ignorance of oneself is the only tension. All the time you know perfectly well that you do not know yourself. You will pass through life, you will do this and that, you will achieve this and that, but the sense of self-ignorance will be with you continuously. It will be lurking behind you. It will be a constant companion no matter how much you try to forget it, how much you try to escape from it. You cannot escape from your ignorance. You know that you don't know. This is the disease at the fifth level. Those in Delphi who wrote on the temple, "Know thyself," were concerned with the fifth body. They were working on it. Socrates continuously repeated, "Know thyself." He was concerned with the fifth body. For the fifth body, Atma-jnana, self-knowledge, is the only knowledge. Mahavira said, by knowing oneself, one knows all. It is not so. One cannot know all by knowing oneself. But the antithesis is correct. By not knowing oneself, one cannot know anything. So to balance this, Mahavira said, by knowing yourself, you will know all. Even if I know everything, if I do not know myself, what is the use? How can I know the basic, the foundational, the ultimate, if I have not even known myself? It is impossible. So with the fifth body, the tension is between knowing and ignorance. But remember, I am saying knowing and ignorance, I am not saying knowledge and ignorance. Knowledge can be gathered from scriptures, knowing cannot be gathered from anywhere. There are so many persons operating under this fallacy, this misunderstanding between knowledge and knowing. Knowing is always yours. I cannot transfer my knowing to you, I can only transfer my knowledge. Scriptures communicate knowledge, not knowing. It can say you are divine, you are Atman, you are the self, but this is not knowing. If you cling to this knowledge, great tension will be there. Ignorance will be there along with false, acquired knowledge and information, borrowed knowledge. You will be ignorant, but you will feel that you know. Then there is much tension. It is better to be ignorant and know perfectly that, I am an ignorant man. Then tension is there, but it is not so great. If you do not delude yourself with knowledge acquired from others, then you can seek and search within yourself, and knowing is possible. Because you are, this much is certain, that whatever you are, you are. This cannot be denied. Another thing, you are someone who knows. It may be that you know others, it may be that you know only illusions, it may be that what you know is not correct, but you know. So two things can be taken for granted, your existence and your consciousness. But a third thing is lacking. The essential personality of man can be conceived through three dimensions: existence, consciousness and bliss, Sat Chit Anand. We know that we are existence itself, we know that we are someone who knows consciousness itself. Only the bliss is lacking. But if you seek inside yourself, you will know the third also. It is there. The blissfulness, the ecstasy of one's existence is there. And when you know it, you will know yourself completely, your existence, your consciousness, your bliss. You cannot know yourself completely unless bliss is known, because a person who is not blissful will go on escaping from himself. Our whole life is an escape from ourselves. Others are significant to us because they help us to escape. That is why we are all other-oriented. Even if one becomes religious, he creates God as the other. He becomes other-oriented again, the same fallacy is repeated. So at the fifth stage, one has to be in search of oneself from within. This is not a search, but a being in search. Only up to the fifth body are you needed. Beyond the fifth, things become easy and spontaneous. The sixth body is cosmic. The tension is between you, your feelings of individuality, of limitation, and the unlimited cosmos. Even in the fifth stage you will be embodied in your spiritual body. You will be a person. That person will be the tension for the sixth. So to achieve a non-tense existence with the cosmos, to be at one with the cosmos, you must cease to be an individual. Jesus says, whoever loses himself will find himself. This statement is concerned with the sixth body. Up to the fifth it cannot be understood, because it is completely anti-mathematical. But from the sixth, this is the only mathematics, the only rational possibility, to lose oneself. We have been enhancing ourselves, crystallizing ourselves. Up to the fifth body the crystallization, the selfhood, the individuality can be carried. But if someone insists on being an individual, he remains with the fifth. So many spiritual systems stop with the fifth. All those who say that the soul has its own individuality, and the individuality will remain even in a liberated state. That you will be an individual, embodied in your selfhood. Any system that says this, stops with the fifth. In such a system, there will be no concept of God. It is not needed. The concept of God comes only with the sixth body. God means the cosmic individuality, or, it would be better to say, the cosmic no-individuality. It is not that I am in existence, it is the total within me that has made it possible for me to exist. I am just a point, one link among infinite links of existence. If the sun does not rise tomorrow, I will not be. I will go out of existence, the flame will go out. I am here because the sun exists. It is so far away, but still it is linked with me. If the earth dies, as so many planets have died, then I cannot live because my life is one with the life of the earth. Everything exists in a chain of existence. It is not that we are islands. We are the ocean. At the sixth, the feeling of individuality is the only tension against an oceanic feeling, a feeling without limitation, a feeling that is beginningless and endless, a feeling not of me but of we. And the we includes everything. Not only persons, not only organic beings, but everything that exists. We means the existence itself. So, I will be the tension at the sixth. How can you lose the I? How can you lose your ego? You will not be able to understand right now, but if you achieve the fifth, it will become easy. It is just like a child who is attached to a toy and cannot conceive of how he can throw it. But the moment childhood is gone, the toy is thrown. He never goes back to it. Up to the fifth body the ego is very significant, but beyond the fifth it becomes just like a toy that a child has been playing with. You just throw it, there is no difficulty. The only difficulty will be if you have achieved the fifth body as a gradual process and not as a sudden enlightenment. Then, to throw the I completely in the sixth becomes difficult. So beyond the fifth, all those processes that are sudden become helpful. Before the fifth, gradual processes seem to be easier, but beyond the fifth, they become a hindrance. So at the sixth, the tension is between individuality and an oceanic consciousness. The drop must lose itself to become the ocean. It is not really losing itself, but from the standpoint of the drop it seems so. On the contrary, the moment the drop is lost, the ocean has been gained. It is not really that the drop has lost itself. It has become the ocean now. The seventh body is the nirvanic. The tension in the seventh body is between existence and non-existence. In the sixth, the seeker has lost himself, but not existence. He is, not as an individual, but as the cosmic being. Existence is there. There are philosophies and systems that stop with the sixth. They stop with God or with moksha, liberation. The seventh means to lose even existence into non-existence. It is not losing oneself. It is just losing. The existential becomes non-existential. Then you come to the original source from which all existence comes and into which it goes. Existence comes out of it, non-existence goes back into it. Existence itself is just a phase. It must go back. Just as day comes and night follows, just as night goes and day follows, so existence comes and non-existence follows, non-existence comes and existence follows. If one is to know totally, then he must not escape from non-existence. If he is to know the total circle, he must become non-existential. Even the cosmic is not total, because non-existence is beyond it. So even God is not total. God is just part of Brahma. God is not Brahman itself. Brahman means all light and darkness combined, life and death combined, existence and non-existence combined. God is not death. God is only life. God is not non-existence. God is only existence. God is not darkness. God is only light. He is only part of the total being, not the total. To know the total is to become nothing. Only nothingness can know the wholeness. Wholeness is nothingness, and nothingness is the only wholeness, for the seventh body. So these are the tensions in the seven bodies, beginning with the physiological. If you understand your physiological tension, the relief of it and the well-being of it, then you can very easily proceed to all seven bodies. The realization of at easeness in the first body becomes a stepping stone to the second. And if you realize something in the second, if you feel a non-tense etheric moment, then the step toward the third is taken. In each body, if you start with well-being, the door to the next body opens automatically. But if you are defeated in the first body, it becomes very difficult, even impossible, to open up further doors. So begin with the first body and do not think of the other six bodies at all. Live in the physical body completely, and you will suddenly know that a new door has opened. Then continue on further, but never think of the other bodies or it will be disturbing and will create tensions. So whatever I have said, forget it. In Indian philosophy, the nature of ultimate truth has been described as truth, satam, beauty, sundram and goodness, shivam. Are these the characteristics of God? These are not the qualities of God. Rather, they are our experiences of God. They do not belong to the divine as such, they are our perceptions. The divine, by itself, is unknowable. Either it is every quality, or no quality at all. But as the human mind is constituted, it can experience the divine through three windows. You can have the glimpse either through beauty or through truth or through goodness. These three dimensions belong to the human mind. They are our limitations. The frame is given by us, the divine itself is frameless. It is like this. We can see the sky through the window. The window looks like a frame around the sky, but the sky itself has no frame around it. It is infinite. Only the window gives it a frame. In the same way, beauty, truth and goodness are the windows through which we can glance into the divine. Human personality is divided into three layers. If intellect is predominant, then the divine takes the shape of truth. The intellectual approach creates the window of truth, the frame of truth. If the mind is emotional, if one comes to reality not through the head but through the heart, then the divine becomes beauty. The poetic quality is given by you. It is only the frame. Intellect gives it the frame of truth. Emotion gives it the frame of beauty. And if the personality is neither emotional nor intellectual, if action is predominant, then the frame becomes goodness. So here in India we use these three terms for the divine. Bhakti Yoga means the way of devotion and is for the emotional type. God is seen as beauty. Jnana Yoga is the way of knowledge. God is seen as truth. And Karma Yoga is the way of action. God is goodness. The very word, God, comes from the word, good. This word has had the greatest influence because most of humanity is predominantly active, not intellectual or emotional. This does not mean that there is no intellect or emotion, but they are not predominant factors. Very few are intellectual and very few are emotional. The majority of humanity is predominantly active. Through action, God becomes the good. But the opposite pole must exist too, so if God is perceived as the good, then the devil will be perceived as the bad. The active mind will perceive the devil as the bad, the emotional mind will perceive the devil as the ugly, and the intellectual mind will perceive the devil as the untrue, the illusory, the false. These three characteristics, truth, goodness and beauty, are human categories framed around the divine, which is, in itself, frameless. They are not qualities of the divine as such. If the human mind can perceive the divine through any fourth dimension, then this fourth dimension will also become a quality of the divine. I don't mean that the divine is not the good. I'm only saying that this goodness is a quality that is chosen by us and seen by us. If man did not exist in the world, then the divine would not be good, the divine would not be beautiful, the divine would not be true. Divinity would exist all the same, but these qualities, which are chosen by us, would not be there. These are just human perceptions. We can perceive the divine to be other qualities as well. We do not know if animals perceive the divine, we do not know how they perceive things at all, but one thing is certain: they will not perceive the divine in human terms. If they perceive the divine at all, they will feel and perceive it in quite a different way from us. The qualities they perceive will not be the same as they are for us. When a person is predominantly intellectual, he cannot conceive of how you can say God is beautiful. The very concept is absolutely foreign to his mind. And a poet cannot conceive that truth can mean anything except beauty. It cannot mean anything else to him. Truth is beauty, all else is simply intellectual. For a poet, for a painter, for a man who perceives the world in terms of the heart, truth is a naked thing without beauty. It is just an intellectual category. So if a particular mind is predominantly intellectual, it cannot understand the emotional mind, and vice versa. That is why there is so much misunderstanding and so many definitions. No single definition can be accepted by the whole humanity. God must come to you in your own terms. When you define God, you will be part of the definition. The definition will come from you. God as such is indefinable. So those who look at him through these three windows have, in a way, imposed themselves, their own definitions, on the divine. There is also the possibility of a fourth way of seeing the divine for one who has transcended these three dimensions in his personality. In India, we do not have a word for the fourth. We simply call it Turiya, the fourth. There is a type of consciousness where you are neither intellectual nor emotional nor active, but just conscious. Then you are not looking at the sky through any window. You have come out of your house and you know the windowless sky. There is no pattern, no frame. Only the type of consciousness that has realized the fourth can understand the limitations of the other three. It can understand the difficulty of understanding among the others, and can also understand the underlying similarities among beauty, truth and goodness. Only the fourth type can understand and tolerate. The other three types will always be quarreling. All religions belong to one of these three categories. And they have been constantly quarreling. Buddha cannot take part in this conflict. He belongs to the fourth type. He says, it is all nonsense. You are not quarreling about divine qualities, you are quarreling about your windows. The sky remains the same from any window. So these are not divine qualities. These are divine qualities as perceived by us. If we can destroy our windows, we can know the divine as quality-less, nirguna. Then we go beyond qualities. Only then does human projection not come in. But then it becomes very difficult to say anything. Whatever can be said about the divine can be said only through the windows, because anything that can be said is really being said about the windows, not about the sky itself. When we see beyond the windows, the sky is so vast, so limitless. It cannot be defined. All words are inapplicable, all theories are inadequate. So one who is in the fourth has always remained silent about it, and definitions of the divine have come from the first three. If the one in the fourth has spoken at all, he has spoken in terms that seem absurd, illogical, irrational. He contradicts himself. Through contradiction he tries to show something. Not to say something, to show something. Wittgenstein has made this distinction. He said that there are truths that can be said, and there are truths that can be shown but not said. A thing is definable because it exists among other things. It can be related to other things, compared. For example, we can always say that a table is not a chair. We can define it by reference to something else. It has a boundary to which it extends, and beyond which something else begins. Really, only the boundary is defined. A definition means the boundary from which everything else begins. But we cannot say anything about the divine. The divine is the total, so there is no boundary, there is no frontier from which something else begins. There is no something else. The divine is frontierless, so it cannot be defined. The fourth can only show, it can only indicate. That is why the fourth has remained mysterious. And the fourth is the most authentic, because it is not colored by human perceptions. All the great saints have indicated, they have not said anything. Whether it is Jesus, Buddha, Mahavira or Krishna, it doesn't matter. They are not saying anything, they are just indicating something, just a finger pointing to the moon. But there is always the difficulty that you will become obsessed by the finger. The finger is meaningless, it is indicating something else. It must not catch your eye. If you want to see the moon, the finger must be absolutely forgotten. This has been the greatest difficulty as far as the divine is concerned. You see the indication and you feel that this indication is, itself, the truth. Then the whole purpose is destroyed. The finger is not the moon, they are absolutely different. The moon can be shown by the finger, but one must not cling to the finger. If a Christian cannot forget the Bible, if a Hindu cannot forget the Gita, then the very purpose is destroyed. The whole thing becomes purposeless, meaningless, and in a way non-religious, anti-religious. Whenever one approaches the divine, one must be aware of one's own mind. If one approaches the divine through the mind, the divine becomes colored by it. If you approach the divine without mind, without you, without the human coming in, if you approach the divine as an emptiness, as a void, a nothingness, without any preconceptions, without any propensity for seeing things in a particular way, then you know the quality-lessness of the divine, otherwise not. Otherwise all the qualities we give to the divine belong to our human windows. We impose them upon the divine. Are you saying that we do not need to use the window to see the sky? Yes. It is better to look from the window than not to look at all, but to look through the window cannot be compared to the windowless sky. But how does one get from the room to the sky without the window? You can pass through the window to go to the sky, but you must not remain at the window. Otherwise the window will always be there. The window must be left behind. It must be passed through and transcended. Once one is in the sky there are no words, until one comes back into the room. Then the story comes. Yes, one can come back. But then he cannot be the same as he was before. He has known the patternless, the infinite. Then even from the window he knows that the sky is not patterned, not windowed. Even from behind the window he cannot be deceived. Even if the window is closed and the room becomes dark, he knows that the infinite sky is there. Now he cannot be the same again. Once you have known the infinite, you have become the infinite. We are what we have known, what we have felt. Once you have known the boundless, the boundaryless, in a way you have become infinite. To know something is to be that. To know love is to be love, to know prayer is to be prayer, to know the divine is to be the divine. Knowing is realization, knowing is being. Do all three windows become one? No. Each window will remain as it was. The window has not changed, you have changed. If the person is emotional he will go out and come in through that window, but now he will not deny other windows, he will not be antagonistic to them. Now he will be understanding of the others. He will know that other windows also lead to the same sky. Once you have been under the sky, you know that the other windows are part of the same house. Now you may wander to other windows or you may not. It depends on you. You need not, one window is enough. If a person is like Ramakrishna he may wander to other windows to see whether the same sky is seen through them. It depends on the person. One may look through other windows or one may not. And really, there is no need. To know the sky is enough. But one may inquire, be curious. Then he will look through other windows. There have been persons who have wandered and persons who have not. But once a person has known the open sky, he will not deny other windows, he will not deny other approaches. He will confirm that their windows open to the same thing. So a person who has known the sky becomes religious, not sectarian. The sectarian mind remains behind the window, the religious mind is beyond it. One who has seen the sky may wander, he may go to other windows also. There are infinite windows. These are the main types, but they are not the only windows. There are so many combinations possible. Is there a window for every consciousness, for each man? Yes. In a way each person comes to the divine from his own window. And each window is basically different from any other. Infinite are the windows, infinite are the sects. Each person has a sect of his own. Two Christians are not the same. One Christian differs from another as much as Christianity differs from Hinduism. Once you have come to the sky, you know that all differences belong to the house. They never belong to you. They belong to the house in which you lived, through which you saw, through which you felt, but not to you as such. When you come under the sky, you know that you were also part of the sky, only living within walls. The sky within the house is not different from the sky beyond the house. Once we come out we know that the barriers were not real. Even a wall is not a barrier to the sky, it has not divided the sky at all. It creates an appearance that the sky is divided, that this is my house and that house is yours, that the sky in my house belongs to me and the sky in your house belongs to you, but once you have come to know the sky itself, there is no difference. Then there are no individuals as such. Then waves are lost and only the ocean remains. You will come back inside again, but now you will not be different from the sky. It seems there are so few Christians who have gone to the sky and who have come back with this concept. There are some, Saint Francis, Eckhart, Boehm. They didn't tell us it was the same sky, did they? They could not. The sky is always the same, but they cannot report on the sky in the same way. Reports about the sky are bound to be different, but what is being reported is not different. To those who have not known the reported thing itself, the report will be everything. Then the differences become acute. But all that is reported is just a selection, a choice. The whole cannot be reported, only a part of the whole can be reported. And when it is reported, it becomes dead. Saint Francis can report only as a Saint Francis can report. He cannot report like Muhammad, because the report does not come from the sky. The report comes from the pattern, from the individuality. It comes from the mind, the memory, the education, the experiences, from the words, the language, the sect, from the living. The report comes from all that. It is not possible for the communication to come only from Saint Francis, because a report can never be individual. It must be communal or it will be an absolute failure. If I report in my own individual language, no one will understand it. When I experienced the sky, I experienced it without the community. I was totally alone at the moment of knowing. There was no language, there were no words. But when I report to others who have not known. I must speak in their language. I will have to use a language that was known to me prior to my knowing. Saint Francis uses the Christian language. As far as I am concerned, religions are only different languages. To me, Christianity is a particular language derived from Jesus Christ. Hinduism is another language, Buddhism is another language. The difference is always of language. But if one knows only the language and not the experience itself, the difference is bound to be vast. Jesus said, "The kingdom of God," because he was speaking in terms that could be understood by his audience. The word kingdom was understood by some and misunderstood by others. The cross followed, crucifixion followed. Those who understood Jesus understood what was meant by the kingdom of God, but those who could not understand thought that he was dealing with a kingdom on earth. But Jesus could not use Buddha's words. Buddha would never have used the word kingdom. There are so many reasons for the difference. Jesus came from a poor family, his language was that of a poor man. To a poor man the word kingdom is very expressive, but to Buddha there was nothing significant about the word because Buddha himself had been a prince. The word was meaningless for Buddha, but meaningful for Jesus. Buddha became a beggar and Jesus became a king. That is bound to be. The other pole becomes meaningful. The unknown pole becomes expressive of the unknown. For Buddha, begging was the most unknown thing, so he took the form of the unknown, the form of a beggar. For him, bhikkhu, beggar, became the most significant term. The word, bhikkhu, is never used in India because there are so many beggars here. Instead, we use the word, swami, master. When someone becomes a sannyasin, when he renounces, he becomes a swami, a master. But when Buddha renounced he became a bhikkhu, a beggar. For Buddha, this word carried something that it could not carry for Jesus. Jesus could only speak in terms that were borrowed from Jewish culture. He could change something here and there, but he could not change the total language or no one would have been able to understand. So in a sense, he was not a Christian. By the time Saint Francis came along, a Christian culture had developed with its own language. So Saint Francis was more of a Christian than Christ himself. Christ remained a Jew, his whole life was Jewish. It could not be otherwise. If you are born a Christian, then Christianity may not be expressive to you, it may not touch you. The more you have known it, the more it becomes meaningless. The mystery is lost. To a Christian, the Hindu attitude may be more meaningful, more significant. Because it is unknown, it can be expressive of the unknowable. As far as I am concerned, it is better that a person not remain with the religion of his birth. The attitudes and beliefs that were given to him at birth must be denied sometime or the adventure will never begin. One should not remain where one was born. One should go to unknown corners and feel the exhilaration of it. Sometimes we cannot understand the very thing that we think we have understood the most. A Christian thinks that he understands Christianity. That becomes the barrier. A Buddhist thinks he understands Buddhism because he knows it, but this very sense of knowing becomes a hindrance. Only the unknown can become the magnetic, the occult, the esoteric. One must transcend the circumstances of one's birth. It is just circumstantial that one is a Christian by birth. It is just circumstantial that one is a Hindu by birth. One should not be confined to the conditions of his birth. One must be twice born as far as religion is concerned. One must go to the unknown corners. Then the thrill is there. The exploration begins. Religions are, in a way, complementary. They must work for others, they must accept others. A Christian or a Hindu or a Jew must know the thrill of conversion. The thrill of conversion creates the background for transformation. Whenever someone comes from the West to the East there is something new. The Eastern attitude is so different that it cannot be put into familiar categories. The whole attitude is so opposite to what you are familiar with that if you want to understand it, you yourself will have to change. The same thing happens to someone from the East when he goes to the West. It should happen. One should be open so it can happen. It is the unknown, the unfamiliar, that will create a change. In India, we could not create a religion like Christianity. We could not create a theology. We could not create the Vatican, the church. There are temples, but there is no church. The Eastern mind is basically illogical, so it is bound to be chaotic in a sense. It is bound to be individual, it cannot be organizational. A Catholic priest is something very different. He is trained to be part of an organization. He belongs somewhere in the hierarchy. And it works. An establishment, a hierarchy is logical, so Christianity has been able to be spread throughout the world. Hinduism has never tried to convert anybody. Even if someone has converted himself, Hinduism is not at ease with him. It is a non-converting religion, non-organizational. There is no priesthood in the sense that exists in Catholicism. The Hindu monk is just a wandering individual, without any hierarchy, without belonging to any establishment. He is absolutely rootless. As far as the outside world is concerned, this approach is bound to be a failure, but as far as the individual is concerned, as far as the inner depth is concerned, it is bound to be a success. Vivekananda was very attracted to Christianity. He created the order of Ramakrishna based on the pattern of the Catholic priesthood. This is very alien to the East, very foreign. It is absolutely Western. Vivekananda's mind was not Eastern at all. And just as I say that Vivekananda was Western, I say that Eckhart and St. Francis were Eastern. Basically, they belong to the East. Jesus himself belonged to the East. But Christianity does not belong to the East, it belongs to the West. Jesus was basically Eastern, he was anti-church, anti-organization. That was the conflict. The Western mind thinks in terms of logic, reason, system, argument. It cannot go very deep, it will remain on the surface. It will be extensive, but never intensive. So organized religions are a curtain to US. They will have to go in order for US to see the sky. Yes. They cover the window, they are obstacles. Will the Western mind have to expand as the Eastern mind has? The Western mind can succeed as far as science is concerned, but it cannot succeed in religious consciousness. Whenever a religious mind is born, even in the West, it is Eastern. In Eckhart, in Boehme, the very quality of the mind is Eastern. And whenever a scientific mind is born in the East, it is bound to be Western. East and West are not geographical. West means the Aristotelian, and East means the non-Aristotelian. West means equilibrium, and East means no equilibrium. West means the rational and East means the irrational. Tertullian was one of the most Eastern minds in the West. He said, I believe in God because it is impossible to believe. I believe in God because it is absurd. This is the basic Eastern attitude, because it is absurd. No one can say this in the West. In the West they say that you should believe something only when it is rational. Otherwise it is just a belief, a superstition. Eckhart too is an Eastern mind. He says, if you believe in the possible, it is no belief. If you believe in the argument, it is not religion. These are parts of science. Only if you believe in the absurd does something that is beyond mind come to you. This concept is not Western. It belongs to the East. Confucius, on the other hand, is a Western mind. Those in the West can understand Confucius, but they can never understand Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu says, you are a fool because you are only rational. To be rational, reasonable, is not enough. The irrational must have its own corner to exist. Only if a person is both rational and irrational is he reasonable. A totally rational person can never be reasonable. Reason has its own dark corner of irrationality. A child is born in a dark womb. A flower is born in the dark, in the underground roots. The dark must not be denied, it is the base. It is the most significant, the most life-giving thing. The Western mind has something to contribute to the world. It is science, not religion. The Eastern mind can contribute only religion, not technology or science. Science and religion are complementary. If we can realize both their differences and their complementariness, then a better world culture can be born out of it. If one needs science, one should go to the West. But if the West creates any religion, it can never be more than theology. In the West you give arguments to yourself to prove God. Arguments to prove God. It is inconceivable in the East. You cannot prove God. The very effort is meaningless. That which can be proven will never be God, it will be a scientific conclusion. In the East we say that the divine is the unprovable. When you are bored with your proofs, then jump into the experience itself, jump into the divine itself. The Eastern mind can only be pseudo-scientific, just as the Western mind can only be pseudo-religious. You have created a great theology in the West, not a religious tradition. In the same way, whenever we make an attempt towards science in the East, we only create technicians, not scientists, persons of know-how, not innovators, creators. So do not come to the East with a Western mind or you will only misunderstand. Then you will carry your misunderstanding as an understanding. The attitude in the East is categorically opposite. Only opposites are complementary, like male and female. The Eastern mind is female, the Western mind is male. The Western mind is aggressive. Logic is bound to be aggressive, violent. Religion is receptive, just like a woman. God can only be received, he can never be discovered or invented. One has to become like a woman, totally receptive, just open and waiting. This is what is meant by meditation, to be open and waiting. Ramakrishna said that the bhakti approach is the most suitable for this age. Is that so? No. Ramakrishna said that bhakti yoga was the most suitable approach because it was the most suitable for him. That is the basic window through which he came under the sky. It is not a question of an approach being suitable or unsuitable for a particular age. We cannot think in terms of ages. Centuries live contemporaneously. We seem to be contemporaries, we may not be. I may be living 20 centuries back. Nothing is absolutely past. For someone it is present. Nothing is absolutely future. For someone it is present. And nothing is absolutely present either. For someone it is past and for someone else it is yet to come. So no categorical statement can be made for the age as such. Ramakrishna was a devotee. He came to God through prayer and love, through emotion. He realized in this way, so for him it seemed that this would be helpful to everybody. He could not understand how his way might be difficult to others. However sympathetic we may be, we always see others in the light of our own experiences. So for Ramakrishna, the way seemed to be bhakti yoga, the way of devotion. If we want to think in terms of ages, we can say that this age is the most intellectual, the most scientific, the most technological. The least devotional, the least emotional. What Ramakrishna was saying was right for him might have been right for the people who were with him, but Ramakrishna never affected the larger world. He belongs basically to the village, to the non-technological, non-scientific mind. He was a villager, uneducated, unacquainted with the greater world, so what he said should be understood according to his village language. He could not conceive of the days that have now come. He was basically part of the peasant's world where intellect was nothing and emotion was everything. He was not a man of this age. What he was saying was all right for the world in which he moved, but not for the world that exists now. These three types have always existed, the intellectual, the active, the emotional. There will always be a balance among them, just as there is always a balance between males and females. The balance cannot be lost for long. If it is lost, it will soon be regained. In the West you have lost the balance. Intellect has become the predominant factor. It may appeal to you that Ramakrishna says, devotion is the path for this age, because you have lost the balance. But Vivekananda says the opposite. Because the East has also lost the balance, he is predominantly intellectual. This is just to balance the existing extreme. It is complementary in a sense. Ramakrishna was the emotional type and his chief disciple was the intellectual type. He was bound to be. That is the coupling, the male and the female. Ramakrishna is absolutely female, non-aggressive, receptive. Sex not only exists in biology, it exists everywhere. In every field, whenever there is polarity there is sex and the opposite becomes attracted. Vivekananda could never be attracted to any intellectual. He could not be, he was not the polar opposite. There were intellectual giants in Bengal. He would go to visit them and would come away empty-handed. He would not be attracted. Ramakrishna was the least intellectual person possible. He was everything that Vivekananda was not, everything that he was seeking. Vivekananda was the opposite of Ramakrishna, so what he taught in Ramakrishna's name was not in the same spirit as Ramakrishna's teaching itself. So whoever comes to Ramakrishna through Vivekananda can never come to Ramakrishna at all. Whoever understands Vivekananda's interpretation of Ramakrishna can never understand Ramakrishna himself. The interpretation comes from the polar opposite. When people say, without Vivekananda we would never have known about Ramakrishna, it is right in a sense. The world at large would never have heard about Ramakrishna without Vivekananda. But with Vivekananda, whatever is known about Ramakrishna is basically false. It is a misinterpretation. This is because his type is quite contrary to Ramakrishna's type. Ramakrishna never argued, Vivekananda was argumentative. Ramakrishna was ignorant, Vivekananda was a man of knowledge. What Vivekananda said about Ramakrishna was said through the mirror of Vivekananda. It was never authentic. It couldn't be. This has always been happening. It will go on happening. Buddha attracts persons who are the polar opposite to him. Mahavira and Jesus attract persons who are spiritually the other sex. These opposites then create the organization, the order. They will interpret. The very disciples will be the falsifiers. But this is what is so. It cannot be helped. Thank you for listening.